Hello everybody, welcome to Good Morning Source Gaming. I am going to unmute everyone and do our introductions. Hello, I'm A Shadowlink, by the way. I am your host for this morning.
Which was really
Hello, you're back on. Whoa.
We're back on. Whoa.
Whoa.
Hey guys, yeah, we were just talking
Hey
about
everyone.
fruit
Definitely just talking about fruit.
Some Blaster Master Zero talk. Let's get real here. Melon
Good
waifu is
morning,
the best
everyone.
waifu.
Oh boy.
Good
Well.
morning, everybody.
So,
Unless
But
you're in
anyway-
Europe, in which case,
Yeah,
good
nice.
afternoon.
so I've been in my closet the entire week making a Devil May Cry review, and some things happened this week that I did not know about. Would you care to inform me, Spazzy? Because this morning is the first time I'm hearing about any of this.
What? Earthworm Jim on the Intellivision? I don't even know what you're
Yes.
Shadowlink has been deprived of all news, gaming, and movie related
Mm-hmm.
for a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah,
So-
well, I was talking to NantenJex a little while ago, and I said it's so weird that no one on the internet, or YouTube in specific, has been doing any discussions on these super popular things like Game of Thrones and Avengers Endgame. So we
Yeah,
better get
it's-
on that before everyone else does. It'll be
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
boy.
totally weird. It's like I haven't seen a single video on it at all.
yeah, right.
Like it's almost like it's just not a thing that happened. But don't worry, guys. We're here to fill that void.
Yeah, we were just trying to think of a title for this episode that would get us the most clicks. I'm not gonna lie, that was my like what buzzword I put in there. But
Gotta
yeah,
put discussion exclamation mark arguing was Game of Thrones terrible? Season 8, episode 3.
and then we need to superimpose Arya on top of some blurry photo, and then circle something in red, have an arrow pointing to it, and then a big question mark. I think. I mean, I don't know why we're not doing this.
Plot hole? Question mark?
Yeah.
A whole question mark.
Yeah, but we'll get into I think the spoilers a
Yeah.
little bit later in case people
Yeah.
don't want to hear them, and
Yep.
we'll talk about
Yeah.
some actual game stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna start with game stuff, move on to movie stuff, spoiler free, and then go. We'll let you know
Yeah.
for the full spoilers. Where I think we've all got divisive opinions on both Avengers and Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun.
Shadowlink hated Avengers because I don't know if you knew this, but he hates you personally because if he doesn't like the things, if he doesn't like the things you don't like, I mean, that's an attack on you. So get angry.
Thank you.
You're riling up the crowd,
Thank you.
getting them clicks.
So in gaming news, I don't know what happened this week.
There wasn't much, to be fair. Like we weren't even going to include any gaming news, but then sitting here preparing for this, Spazzy mentioned 2 of them. One of them I've only heard today, so we figured we'd talk about them. Starting with the biggest one, I guess. The Intellivision has a new system, and also Earthworm Jim.
Yes,
And that came out of nowhere, despite the fact it was apparently announced last October.
Okay, so here's my personal relationship with the Intellivision. My aunt had one growing up, and so before, like my first video game system, I think I was like 5 or 6 when the Nintendo Entertainment System came out, and that's like was my system, you know. But this was the first video game system that I went somewhere to like a relative's house and played. And also, my aunt was like, it was one of those things like, you know, where my aunt was like a younger aunt, so she was basically in her late teens when I was a kid. So when I went to my grandmother's house where she lived, like, and my grandmother would babysit me all the time, like that was a video game system I would play. So like, I like just not based off nostalgia, I might pick this up. I think it's like $175, and all of the games are what between like they're like it's between like $3 to $8 per game. It seems like mostly retro fare. It's like, oh hey, look, I can buy like a whole bunch of Atari 2600 games and television games, and then stuff like Toe Jam and Earl, Joe and Mac, like other random games. But like, yeah, I don't know.
Does it
But
have Toe Jam and Earl on it? I didn't know that.
It does have Toe Jam and Earl on it. I
Do
don't know if it has.
do you have like a games list? Because I literally didn't know anything about this at all.
I'm seeing this image of the new system, and I don't quite comprehend what I'm even looking at. What the fuck is this?
I like it's two. It comes with 2 iPod Minis.
Here's the thing, Matt. Can you pull up the original Intellivision controller? Maybe we can. Show
I mean,
people
like,
that.
yeah, I know it's supposed to look like that. I'll bring it up, but like, Jesus.
Yeah, I know it's gonna be weird because the thing is, the original Intellivision controller had the circle pad, and that was basically your D-pad.
Yeah.
And then it had like a little interlay where you could put an overlay on it, and it was just numbers. It was like a number pad. So they replaced the number pad with a touchscreen, which should be cool for certain games, but I have no idea how I'm going to play. See, there you go. I have no idea how your action. So they're trying to replicate that. It's going to be so weird to try to play that, to play any like platformers on that.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine playing a new Earthworm Jim on that? I don't know if it has any L or R buttons or anything like that either.
It's bizarre. Well, at least it'll be like an Earthworm Jim game made for it. So hopefully they'll plan around that to somehow do it. Is it like though? Is that a screen on the new console though? That's what's confusing me because it looks like a touch screen instead of the number buttons.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
It's weird. I guess you can always change up the button combination, but that's still a bit strange.
There's an article from last year saying, "What the hell is the new Intellivision console?" Thanks, Tom's Guide. But you know, it almost reminds me. Gamers hate him. It reminds me a little bit of the Nintendo NX concepts that some people had, where they're like, "Yeah, no, but the controller, you could customize the buttons." You know, it just has a
I
full
remember
screen.
that.
So they're kind of maybe they're just running with that.
Because Intellivision had like overlays you could put over the keypad, didn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Well, they're making a modern Intellivision, for better or for worse.
I find it so weird how it apparently was announced like last October, and I don't remember this at all. And people are only talking about it now because Earthworm Jim has been announced. And they call it Earthworm Jim 3, despite the fact that already exists on Nintendo 64. So I think it might just be a port of that game, guys. We might be being led on.
Yeah, they're saying they want it to be a family video game console, which I don't know what that means. I guess it's that it's cheap.
Is it a family one? I saw an article that said it was the first adult gaming console.
They said they want it to be something that somebody said this. I saw the quote where like, we want it to be something that parents want to buy their kids, not that kids tell their parents to buy.
Okay. They know the kids won't want to buy it. That's why.
I think it's like a cheap enough price point. Like I said, I'll probably pick one up. Earthworm Jim is just kind of a divisive franchise due to the creator and the creator's politics. I'm not going to get too into that. As a franchise itself, though, I like the first two games a lot. If it's an Intellivision Amico exclusive, I don't see how well it's going to do. I don't think it's a system seller.
I'll see it when I'll believe it when I see it, because I remember years ago they announced Earthworm Jim 4, and they also then announced like a new Earthworm Jim animated series, and they were talking about all this. Oh, we're going to bring back Earthworm Jim. It's going to be great, and then nothing ever came from it. Yes. So I'm just getting like flashbacks to this now. Oh, we're going to make another Earthworm Jim, guys. We promise it'll actually happen this time. I mean, maybe it will happen on the Intellivision Amico, because I can't imagine they need to do a lot, considering it's a system that runs Toe Jam and Earl and Atari games.
Ooh, Super Burger Time's on it.
See? Look at the power required for them.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that Earthworm Jim might be able to come back on the Amico, but we'll see. We'll see.
The thing I want to know is when Clay Fighter 63 and 3/4 is coming back.
For the Amico exclusive. If you want to see the return of Clay Fighters, you have to buy Earthworm Jim, says creator. It's like that.
There you go. I put it into the. Oh no, it's too much.
What is it?
No, I was trying to put it into the chat, but it was.
There's a text limit.
Yeah, there's a text limit. You know what? I'll put this into our stream channel, and then only we will be able to. It said all of its games are downloadable and will run between $3 to $8 with no high-priced DLC or in-game purchases. Thanks, Intellivision, for saving the industry. It will launch with some pre-installed Intellivision classics and over 20 games through the Intellivision Online store. There will be a similar Atari and Image Classics titles. The game's coming to Amigo feature updated graphics, modernized audio, additional levels, multiplayer fun, local and online, tournament modes, and more. This includes such gems as Astro Smash, Shark. Wow, I do remember Shark. Baseball, Night Stalker. Wow, Night Stalker. Skiing, math fun. So if you want your math fun, man, this is going to be the console for you. Pong, Asteroid, Centipede, Tempest, Adventure. I wonder if they're gonna have like an updated adventure where like your yellow
Updated
block.
graphics.
Yeah.
Oh,
Super
man.
realistic graphics.
We're getting ray tracing in television games.
Yeah. But yeah, Toe Jam
Missile
and Earl.
Command, then Swords and Serpent minor 2049. I've never heard of that.
I'm
And Super
assuming
Burger Time.
that Toe Jam and Earl is the original game. I heard Sega's
I'd
on
assume
board
so,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah. Because the new game. Because if I don't think there's going to be too much coming out for this for $8 that people are. I think it's going to be more of a retro system.
Retro and retro style games. Maybe we'll see a bunch of indie games come to there, but
Yeah,
we'll see. It depends how easy it is to develop and port to, I suppose.
But for $180, like I think that's fine. Like I'll probably pick it up. I may not pick up Earthworm Jim just because I may not want to support that particular developer. But maybe I will. I don't know. I'll have to really think about how much I care about my actual personal standards and how much I want to play Earthworm Jim. But the other thing is, like, how much of a hypocrite am I? I don't know, man. I'm a pretty big hypocrite sometimes. Because the thing is, I know I'm gonna buy the system, and if I'm there and Earthworm Jim's like $3, like one day I'm just gonna be like, it's $3. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought this was interesting to bring up because isn't Atari also coming out with their own system that they did this big reveal for, and then nothing happened? I haven't heard anything from them.
Maybe. I feel like Atari have been saying they're bringing a new system out for the past like 10 years. No, okay. It was originally announced in mid 2017, just called New Atari Console. Apparently, Atari VCS.
Ooh, the VCS.
Yeah, codenamed Atari Box is an upcoming one. Pre-orders began last May.
For the video console system, that's what I'm going to assume it is.
$200, and is meant to be coming out this year. Apparently, I think. I'm not actually sure. In March, Atari announced they'd be delaying the launch to the end of 2019 and announced that the system had upgraded to an unannounced embedded 14nm AMD Ryzen processor. Okay. So it's still coming, apparently. I don't know anything on it. I don't think there's any games announced for it, but you can pre-order it now if you want.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on that, Matt? Are you excited to play in television games on your HD TV with a weird ass controller?
I don't know what to think of this. All I know is we're living in capitalist hell.
And with that, the next story in line is the Video Game Hall of Fame got its yearly update, and the new games that they added to the hall are Super Mario Kart, Mortal Kombat, and Solitaire from Microsoft Windows.
Finally, Microsoft has a great exclusive to add to that list, man.
Yes.
All they had was Halo before.
And with that in mind, this week's Smash Brothers DLC character is the King of Spades from Solitaire.
I think the King of Spades would be OP, man.
Yeah. Can you just imagine can you summon all the other cards, do you think?
All the other Spades cards, yes.
All the other Spades cards.
Yeah, obviously he's not gonna. Come on.
Yeah, I guess the alts would have to be the King of Hearts, the King of Diamonds.
Right, and the final Smash would obviously be the Ace of Spades, which would be accompanied by the Motorhead song, which is, I mean, this ranks, man. Still easier to get than Final Fantasy music. It's weird.
There's your and there's your Microsoft rep as well. So enjoy. This is what you're getting. But
I can see Sakurai coming out and being like, "We wanted something that everyone was familiar with."
he just reaches into his pocket and pulls out a deck of cards.
I
Just
think
starts playing live solitaire.
Oh man, hey, you guys wanted a single player mode. Here's your single player mode.
I think there's something out of that. There's a fourth game inducted called Colossal Cave Adventure, a 1976 text adventure game. It was apparently like the precursor to Adventureland and Zork.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
never heard
yeah.
of it, but it comes
Tomb
on a
Raider.
tape.
I think last year had bigger names, Tomb Raider and Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, just a bit bigger,
Yeah.
just slightly bigger than Solitaire.
The
But
Mortal Kombat 11 backlash, just microtransactions, man. I don't know. What do you? Just I don't even remember. What are people complaining about with? I didn't buy Mortal Kombat 11. What are people complaining about with Mortal Kombat 11 now? Somebody in the chat wants to know.
yeah, I don't know.
It was how grind. It was kind of like how grindy the game is, and then there's premium currency for monetization. Isn't that how it works?
I think so. I think it might be a pay to. It feels like it's pay to win. I think I might have read that somewhere, but who knows?
I've honestly, personally, never minded. Well, I think the problem is if it actually is pay to win. But I think isn't everything in Mortal Kombat just cosmetic? I mean, yeah, you get unlock new fatalities and new costumes and stuff, but that's not affecting your ability to play online. And if it's not affecting your ability to play against other human beings, then it's not pay to win. And then you can eventually, it'll take you forever, grind out those costumes and stuff. So I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if that is actually the case or not, personally, because I've not played it. So.
Oh, whatever, man. The dude, Jax. That's not politics, really, man. Jax goes like it's like a kind of like I thought it was gonna be a bigger deal than it was. Like, because I saw that. Jax goes back in time. Like everyone gets stupid endings or silly fighting game arcade ending, like not from main story mode. And Jax says, "I'm going to go back in time and make sure slavery doesn't happen." And somehow, by slavery not happening, that upsets people.
Yeah, that's strange. That doesn't even sound like a proper controversy. That just sounds like bigots making a big deal out of stuff for the sake of being bigots.
Oh,
right.
boy.
I mean that ending specifically says, and everyone was the better for it. And I assume by everyone they mean the white people too, unless you're saying that white people couldn't have established what they did in America without slave labor, and that this country wouldn't have been great with there's been indentured servitude. The Industrial Revolution in the 1800s made it so that that's such like a false like narrative where like to me anyways the thought that especially because it comes from people that are white supremacists that are saying that hey, it's so white people are so great, but we couldn't have gotten here without the slave labor of other people. That just like seems very incongruous to me.
Anyway, let's go back.
Maybe I'm missing something. I don't want to get on that.
Yeah, let's go back to the Video Game Hall of Fame. And has that only been around since 2015? Because I was just trying to find a complete list of everything inducted, and that's the earliest I can find.
It's very new. When I was updating, when I wrote my script actually for the Lara Croft RTC that we didn't do, I'm like, it's one of only a few games really that are in there. Tomb Raider was one of the first inductees, really.
Is Tomb Raider one? I don't see her on the website. Oh yeah, no, actually, never mind. I do. She's in 2018. No, well, I was just thinking. There's always those big debates about what are the most important video games and what are the most iconic video games, etc. Especially with Smash fans who get quite stuck to that. And just looking through the games in the Hall of Fame, I mean, the ones already in Smash are Pac-Man, Super Mario, Zelda, Sonic the Hedgehog, Street Fighter 2, Pokemon Red and Green, Donkey Kong, Final Fantasy 7, Super Mario Kart. And then, like, you've also got Tetris, which I guess has a song in Smash. And then the only other ones left are Doom, World of Warcraft, Pong. I guess Pong is in Smash with that assist trophy. Oregon Trail, Space Invaders, Grand Theft Auto, The Sims, Halo, Tomb Raider, John Madden Football, Space War. I don't know what that is. Mortal Kombat, Solitaire, and then Colossal Cave Adventure.
Space War is the first ever like commercial computer game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. But when talking about important characters for Smash, I think any of these could have deserving of stuff in Smash. Then I would argue. Like, so if you really want John Madden, he's got a good shot. I would say.
When are we getting the Centipede boss?
It'll come with the asteroid character. It'll be your Intellivision rep.
All right, guys. So let's talk about the hot topic of the week. Sonic the Hedgehog will never be good.
Can you pull up the tweet from the director apologizing for wasting everybody's time?
Here's Sonic right now.
I don't.
Sonic in the new movie, everybody. He looks great.
It's amazing. No, the movie would be better if he looked like that. I hope that's what John Marston, is that his name, the actor?
Yeah.
I hope that's what his character looks like.
Who's on you're Dead to Me, who I was just talking about before this. Another Marston movie, man.
Here's
I like the first 2 episodes.
Here's Jim Carrey as Eggman. Doesn't he look great? Damn.
Yeah, man, Jim Carrey looks pretty good in the movie.
Yeah, to be fair, Jim Carrey looks like the best part of the movie, which
he looks like he's having fun, and Jim Carrey hasn't looked like he's been had fun in years.
It's yeah, it's weird, all right. I don't want in fact I don't think it's going to be good. I want it to be so bad it's good, but even then I'm not convinced it will be. Which is a shame.
Like,
but yeah. By the end of the movie, James Marsden should become Sonic Man.
Oh, by the
way, after Sonic goes back to his home world,
like at
James
the very
Marsden takes up the mantle.
Yeah, at the very least, like the Sonic movie is gonna be like visually really bad. Like from what we've seen already, the special effects are horrendous.
See, I don't believe for 1 second that they're gonna change the model any drastically. Like they spent all this money, and this movie's meant to be coming out this year to make this Sonic. You can't tell me that like now in post production, right at the very end, they're gonna suddenly swap out Sonic for a better model of Sonic.
So here's the fun thing. They have until November. This is still coming out in November.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Fowler said, "Thank you for the support and the criticism." He's the director. The message is loud and clear. You aren't happy with the design and you want changes. It's going to happen. Everyone at Paramount and Sega are fully committed to making this character the best he can be. # Sonic movie. # gotta fix fast. Wrench peace sign emoji. So the problem with this is twofold. One, is coming out in November, so I don't know what they're going to do. They're all like, we've decided to add a Mexican luchador mask to Sonic. It makes him look better, because that's not a lot of time. Two, I love the fact that, like, oh man, the director's going to do something. That director is going to do shit. Those visual effects artists that get paid a flat rate and don't get paid anything are going to be working overtime, crunch awful hours, because all of you idiots on the internet complained, and it's still not going to look good, and it's going to make these guys' lives a living hell. I just want you to know that.
Jeff Fowler is a visual effects artist as well. Apparently, this is his directorial debut.
It shows.
Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Prior to this, he was a visual effects artist on like Where the Wild Things Are.
I'm going to say this. I think a lot of the fixes that people put in actually don't make it look better. It just makes it look like they plopped in regular game Sonic into a frame.
There's only been one edit so far that I've actually liked, and I think the guy did it like as a paint as opposed to making a 3D model or something that looked it, and that might be why it looked good. Everyone else, all the other attempts I've seen to make it look good, just still don't look good. Although
I think I know the paint one you're talking about, but that one also looks like they just like literally like ripped Sonic from a video game and put him in there.
Yeah, no, it does, but I think it looks better than this one still.
I mean, it does look
Man.
better, but it's not going to really work as well in a 3D environment. Like, okay, like people keep trying to give him back that Una eye. The Una eye just won't work in the real world. Like, it looks dumb.
Yeah,
It
I don't
does.
think. Yeah, I don't think he needs the I don't think the eye is really the problem.
No, yeah, my problems. Well, the movie, yeah, and that's the other thing, Matt. I'm completely with you. It looks bad. Like Sonic could have looked great, and the movie would have still looked like a subpar, like buddy cop movie, like a video game
Yeah.
movie. Yeah. But like my biggest issues with it are like give him gloves. He's wearing shoes. Why isn't he wearing gloves? It's stupid.
They gave him socks.
Yeah,
I'm so
he's got
surprised.
socks on.
Yeah,
He's got shoes and socks, but no gloves for reasons.
right. And you could have given him something that looked more like I'm gonna exercise gloves if you want to, but I just feel like gloves make a big difference.
See, that front shot of Sonic there, I actually don't think that looks too bad. I think it's the best shot of Sonic from the whole film.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so too. Actually, like this is the
Yeah.
only time where Sonic like looks kind of remotely like Sonic, and it's because you both can't see his body and because his eyebrows are scrunched.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. This is also the perfect example where if he had the one eye, it would look really, really weird.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would.
So
I'll say
it's better that they didn't do it.
it's almost all it's the creepy teeth. The teeth are creepy.
Yeah,
Uh-huh,
teeth are
absolutely.
creepy. Yeah.
Um,
I think the nose is too flat. I think that might be another reason why this one looks quite good, because you can't tell the depth of the nose.
Mm.
Whereas when you look at it from a side, he has a flat hedgehog nose, which is what hedgehogs are like. But Sonic's never actually had that. He's always had a sort of long, cartoony nose.
And Sonic's never actually looked like a hedgehog, to
hedgehog,
begin
and
with.
they're trying-
Yeah.
and they're like, well, what if we give him the proportions of a muscular human child in a onesie and realistic hedgehog features on his face? That will make them happy.
Ooh. Ooh.
It's his proportions. The proportions is the biggest thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's awful.
He
That
does
and
look like a small child.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does.
he looks like a somewhat muscular child in a onesie. Like, look at his body in those body shots and tell me that's not exactly what he looks like. It's weird, because he has human proportions, and the eyes are too small too. That's the other thing. Like, the eyes should be bigger. He should have more cartoon proportion eyes.
I don't think the size.
Just replace him with that.
I don't think the size of his eyes are bad. I just think that when they pull back the brow for some of these shots, he looks absolutely terrible. This is like definitely the worst shot of the whole trailer right here.
Yeah. It's got this weird uncanny valley feel to it.
Is that the word? There was a gif of somebody that just kept putting chili dogs in his mouth.
Yeah, I saw that. That's good. So guys, NantenJex has provided me with a suitable replacement that I think we can pull off. If we were in charge of the Sonic movie, we just get this kid to stand in front of a green screen, put him in all the scenes. There you go. There's Sonic the Hedgehog.
There you go.
I'm not gonna lie.
You don't have to
It
pay
looks
for
better.
CG anymore. It does. It looks more authentically Sonic. I think he's got the right coloured arms. I think we've figured it out, guys.
I've got to say, I would commend them for going back to practical effects too. You know, like
They keep it all old school.
yeah, right. Yeah, it just. Here's the thing too. Like, who is this movie for? Right?
This movie is
Yeah.
for
For all of
people who really like Gangster's Paradise.
That was. Why would you use that? You
Gangster's
remember-
Paradise is a really weird song to have.
I
for this
know.
trailer.
I know.
What does it have for anything that's even remotely related to Sonic?
It's made specifically for the guy who made a Sonic AMV set to Gangster's Paradise 10 years ago.
Like, and here's something else. Coolio must not be doing that well financially, because remember when Weird Al Yankovic made his Amish Paradise cover of the song?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Coolio came out like super pissed. He's like, "This is a song. It has a lot of personal meaning to me. This is not a joke of a song. It shouldn't be joked about. There's." It's got all this meaning behind it, and now it's being used for a Sonic trailer, which he had to have signed off on.
Poor guy.
Oh man, like it reminds like 'cause, okay, so that joke in there where they're all like every hero has a genesis, that's clearly just for us, right? I mean, that's
Mhm.
just for people in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah,
But
and
this
for, and for Americans, considering it's not even called that outside of.
Yep.
It's good. This is the Mega Drive, literally everywhere else.
Just for Americans. Every hero has a Mega Drive.
yeah, I was about to say you didn't see the International Red Band trailer. Find your Mega Drive.
Oh shit. Ah man, when Sonic ripped Eggman's head off, jeez.
I just like okay, so it's gonna be like a children's movie, but oh my god, don't do that! Don't do that!
I found a scene from the sequel, guys. Put him on next to Sonic.
I'm gonna do it. Alright guys. They're going in a weird direction with the sequel to the Sonic movie.
I think this will actually be the best way to appeal to the Sonic fan base. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no! Oh
This is when Sonic's back on his home planet. Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
And Knuckles.
Oh
my god, you know they're gonna have like an awful after credit scene with like Knuckles cracking his knuckles or something stupid. It's just like I mean I guess yeah, it's like a lot of times you get told like this movie isn't for you, and that's fine, you know. It's true. Like different movies are made for different audiences. Not everything is made for me. Although, as you know, a straight white American dude, I very much doubt that. I think everything should be made for me, and I get confused. But some things may not be made for me. This could be but this is clearly not for children because, like, they're calling him Robotnik, and like the Genesis joke, and they're like, and I feel like it shows that like they should redesign him because he looks monstrous, and hopefully they make him look better. But I've never seen like a studio kowtow to what people think. Like those Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, everybody was like saying how terrible they looked. But they didn't do anything to those guys, and it still made like $200 million domestically or something sad like that. That movie was also awful.
Well, that's the thing. Do you think this movie's going to sell regardless of what our thoughts are? Because if we're not actually the target audience and it's aimed at kids,
but I don't think kids are really like this is completely anecdotal, but talking to my friends with kids, like my friend Richard, I was talking to him and he's all like, well, Mia gave this, and she's like 9, gave this she's like, I'll watch it. Not I want to watch it, but you know, if you take me to it, I will watch it. Which I feel like isn't like a ringing endorsement. So that's what I know so far. But is Sonic even really a very popular franchise with kids now? I mean, I know the games seem to sell.
To be honest, I don't know. I mean,
don't know
Sonic Boom cartoon did well enough, and that was on Cartoon Network. So maybe.
Didn't it get
canceled? I don't think they haven't renewed. They haven't outright said it's cancelled, but they haven't renewed it for another series yet, so it's kind of in limbo. But I mean, clearly they're making Sonic the Hedgehog costumes, and they're selling. So there you go. There you see. There are quite a lot of them. If you look them up on Google, there's quite a lot.
The father who grew up playing Shadow the Hedgehog for the Xbox, dress up his son.
Yeah.
Go out for candy. Show up at the doorstep in a Shadow the Hedgehog costume with the fake submachine gun that has shotgun pump on it.
Will the father be dressed as the president? Or as the dark... whatever the dark guy is called in that game. Villain.
Father shows up, he's wearing a military uniform. Hello. I am the leader of Gun. Give me your candy. God damn it.
Yeah, I don't know if we have anything to talk about. Like,
Yeah,
it,
I think we
it looks
made
it looks
it's
bad.
clear.
It looks. I think at the very least, this movie existing is a good thing, and I'll say that because it's going to generate memes and gifs for years. Like
Mhm.
it's Doctor Robotnik's mean meme machine at this point is what this this movie's going to be.
We'll see. I depending on how reviews are, it will depend on whether I go see it. If reviews, even if they're terrible, if the reviews say that it's like a laughably bad time, I might go watch it.
I'm excited about Detective Pikachu. It's been getting good reviews. It doesn't look
Yeah.
like garbage. I think it's going to be the first actual good video game movie and the first good anime adaptation movie in the same movie.
But what about Angry Birds the movie?
That doesn't exist. I've told you. I don't know what you're talking about. There never was an Angry Birds movie.
So let's move on to the next part of our thumbnail and talk about Avengers. This is going to be the spoiler-free talk of Avengers, where we just kind of say what our general impressions were of the movie. And considering you have such a strong opinion on this, Shadow Link, why don't you go first?
I kind of hated it.
Want to elaborate?
Sorry, hold on. I'm doing something.
Oh.
There we go.
God, why? Why?
That's our new mascot. That's Source Coop's pet.
Oh no!
Turtles.
Oh god.
Happy
Turtles
Star
and Fox.
Charles the Man Fox. Yeah. As I was gonna say, happy Star Wars days, by the way, guys. It's Star Wars Day.
Oh yeah, it is Star Wars Day.
Oh boy.
Too bad there's nothing to talk about with Star Wars.
Yep.
We already did that. We already talked about how Palpatine was back. Oh,
yeah.
I actually have one thing to talk about with Star Wars. So in the previews for Avengers Endgame, Star Wars was there because Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was sitting next to me with his girlfriend, and he was trying to explain to her how Emperor Palpatine is back, and she was just like, "Who the fuck is Emperor Palpatine?" and then he picked like the best way to describe it. He was just like, he's the guy with the hands, and he goes, "Do it." And that's just like, okay, I see how the meme culture has taken over.
Summed it up pretty well. I don't know what you're talking about. But all right, on to Avengers
thank you,
then, so.
Thank you, Colin. For May the 4th be with you for Europeans.
Yeah,
4th of May be with you for Europeans.
Thank you, Colin. He's speaking to me right now.
Oh, sorry about that.
Way.
Sorry about that.
So, yeah, Avengers then. So you didn't like it, Shadow?
I didn't like it. I thought the Avengers. I thought Avengers Endgame. So the thing with me and the MCU is that I like a fifth of the movies.
Okay.
But I did actually legitimately really enjoy Avengers Infinity War. So I was like, all right, I want to see how this ends. And so I saw Avengers Endgame. And my first thought about the movie is that it didn't need to be 3 hours long. Holy shit.
You know what's funny? I didn't feel that time at all, and going through it, and when we talk about spoilers, there aren't many scenes that I think should have been cut, or like I feel like even the scenes that I feel like, yeah, you could have lost this scene or that scene, I feel like they added something to it. But I mean, I come from a place where when I was very young, back in the 1940s, the like I read comics and I read fantasy novels, and it was the sort of stuff that kind of ostracized you and made you an outsider and kind of got you made fun of. But I'll never understand like people who are gatekeepers, because the fact that the stuff that I liked when I was a kid is mainstream now makes me super happy, because now like I have so many people to talk to about it. And I have a lot of knowledge based off of all of this crap that I've read that I was really into before. So
you're preparing yourself years in
yeah,
advance.
and so even though it's something that's become very popular now, because there's a point in my in my early 20s, I feel like, and in my teens, where I'm like, screw all this mainstream nonsense. You go from liking whatever music to thinking Elvis Costello is super cool, to thinking he's an overrated hack, to thinking he's okay, man. I don't know why, music's music. But but like now I'm like I can just kind of appreciate something, despite like if this movie had bombed or made $10 billion, it's still something that I personally enjoy because it comes from content that I enjoy. And I felt like they paid off. Why I liked it is I felt like they paid off so much from all of the other movies, and you can't, much like Infinity War, you can't judge it on the basis of it being a regular movie. If you judge it, I mean, you could, but if you judge it as a regular movie, it just doesn't work.
If you judge it as a regular movie, it sucks because it does.
Because it's an event. I disagree. The narrative themes in it I thought were pretty good. The story behind it was a story about having second chances to say goodbye, about the connections between parents and their children. Like, there were strong central themes in this, and I thought you didn't necessarily need to have that in this sort of movie. But yeah, it was honestly about making peace with yourself and finding the resolution that you think you deserve. And I think with three characters in particular, it did kind of reach a satisfactory narrative arcs based off of where they were in previous movies. But we'll talk about it in spoilers.
I sure do hope you're not thinking of the same characters that I am.
Oh, I am, and I know you're going to say something about a particular female character, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
The spoiler talk's going to be great. I guess on my side of things, I liked it. It kind of felt like the conclusion to a 21 episode series where every episode is nearly 2 hours long. But I think it paid off a lot for what the MCU has. I think it would be better if this was the last movie, and then there wasn't anything to come after this, because then everything would actively stay wrapped up. And I'm worried that some later movies down the line will just undo things from this movie, or just not have that same kind of presence as this one does. Like, if this was the last MCU movie, I'd call the whole thing a success, because I think there's only one of them I haven't seen, and that's Thor: Dark World, which turned out to be something I should have seen before this movie.
No, don't worry. You don't need to see a really boring bad movie just for like a few of like context for one scene.
Yeah, and I think
you basically got it anyways.
Yeah, no, it didn't really impede. It's just the whole fact that I'm sitting there like, oh man, maybe of all the films, like, I was trying to catch up on so I'd be fully up to date, and the one I decided not to watch is more relevant than some of the ones I did. But I think the only bad ones even then, I'm trying to think if I really find them bad. Like, I didn't hate Thor 1. I didn't hate Incredible Hulk. I wouldn't watch them again, but I didn't hate them. Iron Man 2 as well. I don't really remember anything from Iron Man 2, to be honest.
I
liked all the Captain Americas.
I try not to remember Iron Man 2.
And I liked both Ant-Man movies, and so that's all good. So I've liked this, and I think Endgame paid off. I think Infinity War was the better movie compared to the two.
Oh, absolutely.
But Endgame, I think, was good payoff for the whole of the MCU so far.
I thought it was a more satisfying movie than Infinity War. I felt like,
I mean, it's probably more satisfying considering how Infinity War ends. It's more satisfying.
But you can have a downer ending. But the thing is, it's not. The reason Infinity War wasn't satisfying isn't just because it was a downer ending and everyone's dead, but because you knew a lot of that would be undone in one way or another. Because A, of course it is. B, it happened in the comics, and C, here's a trailer for SpiderMan Homecoming, or Far From Home, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would have been better if they hadn't announced anything like that. Spider-Man: Homecoming being an epilogue to this movie is the weirdest thing to me because it's like,
Uh,
why? Like,
I,
why? What's Spider-Man: Homecoming going to do that feels like a proper epilogue to this? I guess we can talk, maybe give theories in this when we talk about spoilers. But
I
it
think
feels
that
so
has a
weird.
lot to do with Sony, because
Mm.
Sony wanted the movie out this. Because the rumors are that Sony wanted the movie out this year, but Marvel wanted it out next year as part of proper phase
Oh,
4.
okay. Like the start of Phase 4 or whatever, and now it's the
Yeah,
end of Phase 3.
yeah.
Oh, fair. Well, I guess if we're done with spoiler-free stuff for Avengers, let's talk about spoiler-free stuff for Game of Thrones then.
Do you
Have
watch Game
fun,
of
you
Thrones,
two.
Shadowlink?
No.
No, so
Oh, yeah, right.
um,
It's I forgot you're too much of a hipster for that. Anyways, I've been speaking of being a hipster. I've watched it since the first season and read all the books, so I'm kind of an expert when it can.
all right.
No, no, no,
I've
no.
watched the TV series and haven't read any of the books, so we're all different levels of Game of Thrones, from
Yeah,
full nerd to not at all.
I thought it was. I feel like the show's kind of become a narrative mess since it went off the books, and I was never one of those people. It's like, oh, the book's its own thing, and the show's its own thing, and I kind of like some of the stuff they do better in the show, and I like that they're moving on because the books take forever to get anywhere.
Mhm.
But like some of the decisions the last 2 seasons, it's become a show that is very convenient. That's how I describe it. Everything
Okay.
that happens is just kind of um like let's go back to the Battle of the Bastards, right?
Mhm.
Where I always say they have that Riders of Rohan moment where the Knights of the Vale show up out of nowhere to win the fight at the last minute.
Yeah.
Like that's such lazy writing.
Hmm.
You know,
I
like
was almost expecting something like that to happen in this episode,
yeah,
and then it just didn't in the end.
like stuff like that used to not happen for this show, and um, it was everything. It was very emotionally manipulative. I'll say that. Without giving away any like real spoilers, but I mean, I guess we can. We're about to go into it,
No. Yeah,
but
well, when we go into the
but
spoiler talk, we'll.
yeah, but without getting anything away, it's become a show like I described it on Twitter. The entire episode was Glenn hiding under a dumpster. For you Walking Dead fans out there, like it was just like, oh, this person's gonna die. No, they're not gonna die. And the show used to be better than that. The show used to not be something that would like tease a death and then take it away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like at the
Things.
last minute, an arrow comes and saves them. Oh my god! Like over
Yeah,
and over and over again.
life's not that convenient, and it suddenly is now in Game of Thrones.
Right, and there's an overarching theme, I think, in the books, and I think to a point in the show, where like I don't know, I've got mixed feelings. I thought the way that Night King actually got taken out was kind of badass, though.
Yeah, yeah. I got so when I first watched the episode, I enjoyed it. I had a few issues with it, but nothing like I thought it was. Didn't think it was bad or anything. But the more I've sat there and thought about it, the more I've not liked this episode. Like it just continuously drops in my head. The more I think about everything that happens, and the more I talk to people about it, and I'm just like, okay, you know what? Actually,
The AV Club, speaking of books, had a review where they're like, the thing is like narratively speaking, they're like, here, imagine that you didn't see all that spectacle that you just saw. Imagine if you just read that battle in a book. They're like, what would actually happen? Like, what would your actual reaction to that have been? You know?
yeah, yeah.
That's
You've
yeah.
been pretty let down. I'm gonna
Okay.
say.
Yeah. By the way, you're allowed to love this. You're allowed to have your reasons to love it. You're allowed to hate Endgame, which I'm interested to see actually what Shadowlink thinks
Mm-hmm.
for some of these Endgame things. Because I mean, yeah, I'm sure he definitely has some points, but I know I'm gonna end up disagreeing with a lot of them. Okay, so you want to move on to
Yeah, well, we can
spoilers?
go on to the spoiler stalk now. So that's a warning to everyone who's watching. If you haven't seen, we'll start with
Venom.
Avengers. So if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame and you still don't want to be spoiled, this is the time to go off. And thank you for joining us. But if you've seen it and you want to hear our full thoughts on it, we're gonna begin, I suppose. And Shadowlink needs to unmute himself
Hi
so that
guys.
he can take part.
I was busy sprucing up our new mascot.
Oh boy.
I do confess.
Good old Turles.
Turles the fox man.
Turles the man fox. I
Man
think
fox,
you're
I'm
right.
sorry. I'm sorry. He's the fox in the shape of a man. You're right. I apologize.
Yes. Half man, half fox.
It bodies.
It's bodies. Top tier fighting game. Turles the man fox.
Somebody get that out with no context on the SG Twitter, please.
Yeah.
Go on. I'll do it. You, Shadowlink. We're now in spoiler talk. So why don't you two have your little Avengers argument?
I honestly don't think we're gonna have an argument. I think we're just coming at it from really different angles, which is fine. People are allowed to have their opinions, except for people that think that the ending in Mortal Kombat 11 is. And actually, I probably need to watch it, but that seems like people being really touchy. Anyways, hey, Shadowlink, Matt, sup?
Hi. I just put it out on Twitter, by the way. There you go.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go retweet that.
Go share that.
So let's get into spoilers, and let's actually start with Black Widow, because Black Widow I think is going to be a big one for everybody.
I didn't care. I thought it made sense. I know that her death has no consequences because there's already a Black Widow movie coming. Whoa.
Well, that's what confused me, because like, of all the characters who do come back at the end of the movie, she's not one of them.
Yeah, because she's going to come back in her own movie. Wow.
Yeah, but is she, or is it going to be a prequel, or is it going to be showing what Black Widow did in that 5-year gap when she basically took over S.H.I.E.L.D. from Nick Fury? Like, what is this plot of this movie? Because they've only just started filming it, like, this week. So
Black Widow movie is confirmed to be a prequel. Okay, well, my real reasoning for not caring about Black Widow is that I don't give a shit about Black Widow.
Black Widow. That's the thing. They didn't do a good job with her. Like, I understand that the focus was on the original 6 Avengers, but like 3 of those original 6 never got any real character development. So
I feel like as an Avengers original character, essentially, like Hawkeye, the fact that one of those two had to do the big sacrifice and have their moment made more sense than it being Thor or Captain America or Iron Man, at least at that point.
Yeah,
I suppose of all of them, she has the least interesting powers for the final fight, even if all Hawkeye really does is run around.
What would have happened if they had sent like 2 Avengers that don't care about each other out there?
What if it had been Nebula and
Hulk? Yeah, well, what would you have done?
Be screwed. Push Red Skull off the cliff instead. Cheat the system.
They should have sent Thor out there with his PS4. PS4 and a 6-pack.
Oh shit! They could have sent Thor with a can of beer. Fuck!
There's so many loopholes around this.
But like, yeah, I know. I've seen some, and I completely understand it. I've seen some complaints from people like, well, they had to kill that. But what?
The fucking thing about the Soul Stone is that Nebula knew that you had to make a sacrifice and didn't tell anybody, and also didn't tell anybody going back to 2014 or any of the timelines that, Big Daddy Thanos is looking.
Well, like, to be fair, I don't think she knew that.
She didn't know. She didn't realize. I don't think she realized that Thanos would connect up with her past self.
Well, yeah, she still forgot to change her Wi-Fi password. That was the problem.
Okay. So Nebula not warning anybody about Thanos is a bit of a moot point because, like, I think it was like spur of the moment. It just occurred to her, but Nebula literally knew that You had to pay a price. You had to sacrifice something you loved because she lost her fucking sister. I don't think that's something she would forget or block out.
No, that's different. That's definitely more of an issue. I think Nebula just doesn't give a shit about the Avengers.
She seems to like Rhodey. In the deleted scenes, you find out she has a very complicated relationship with Hawkeye and Black Widow. It was just an extra hour of movie they could have fit in there.
Yeah, Black Widow once accidentally ate her sandwich, and just was like, you know what, fuck this.
Yeah, but I thought that Black Widow's end was a good, like from a narrative standpoint, made sense because her entire like, I watched a few of the Marvel movies, but not too many like you before this, and like her very first thing in Avengers is saying like why are you here? She's all like, I've got a lot of red in the ledger. I just, I want to make up for like how shitty of a person I have been and all of the stuff that I've done. And the thing is, we know that she's not a bad person. And she's done a lot of good stuff, and she shouldn't have to worry about that. But like her drive has been that. Even like the super cringy line in like Age of Ultron, where that everyone always picks out the can't have babies part of it. But like I think the bigger part of her saying like, I was trained to be an assassin. I'm a monster. Like that's how she views herself. And like she found like a family and she found a purpose, but she still feels like she has to make stuff up. So it makes sense to me that like she would be the one to make that sacrifice. Also, when Captain America goes back and returns the Soul Stone to Red Skull, which should be just fascinating to watch.
Yeah! What the fuck?
Hi, Steve.
Oh god, oh god. Everything about that ending requires a full 20-minute analysis. So let's hold off on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk Captain America at the end.
I was able to follow all of that, but I think it's just because of years of reading comics. Because in comics,
set yourself up.
It's not that I couldn't follow the movie. It's more that the movie doesn't follow itself.
It does. It does. I mean,
we've spoken about this before. Well, let's talk about Captain America. Let's go from Black Widow.
No, I'm not done with Black Widow. What I wanted to say is,
Go on,
when
then.
Steve returns the stone, does Black Widow come back because it's a soul for a soul, right?
I don't know. I'd assume not. But
then what happens to the stone? Because it's a soul for a soul. He's giving the soul back. That's the easiest out.
I mean,
they want to bring
that's a
back.
good question. How do you even put the soul stone back? Does he just stand at the top and just kind of lob it off? Like he's just like, where do I put this? Because
I don't think he's gonna hand it over to Red Skull. I wouldn't.
And I don't think he can't go to the water dimension unless he kills someone. So what's going on there? Well, whatever.
So let's move over to Actually, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go over all the original Avengers, and we'll stop with Cap and Tony because they're the ones that are going to be the most. I feel like.
Yeah. Okay. Although I did want to talk about briefly
we can talk
how
about
little Captain Marvel does in this whole film.
Oh god, no! Please, later.
Like it's if we're gonna go through all the original, especially Cap and Tony at the end, I feel like
I thought
we should go through the smaller ones in first.
All right.
And considering how much of a
Captain
bit part
Marvel
Captain Marvel
fucking sucked in this movie.
I liked her better than in her movie. I'm not gonna lie because
I've not seen her movie. I didn't care.
See, I don't think she sucks in this movie. She just doesn't. She's just such a non-player in this movie.
They picked one personality and went with it in this movie.
She's
in her
really
movie, she had like
inconsistent.
5 different personalities.
So it's weird, right? So I found this out this week when I was looking up stuff for Endgame. Captain Marvel, they actually filmed her scenes in Endgame first before they then filmed the Captain Marvel movie.
Yes,
I guess that makes sense considering
because
the hair.
like the reason she's not actually in Endgame that much is because they're filming Captain Marvel at the same time, and she couldn't obviously be in 2 places at once. So they got her scenes done straight away, and then went and put her on Captain Marvel, which is why she's not in the film at all. But what bugs me is the fact that it was seemingly built up with the Infinity War end credit tease and all of this other, and like all the promotional stuff, that Captain Marvel was going to be the bridging point, the thing that will change between Infinity War and Endgame, and she just doesn't do anything. Basically, she like fights Thanos twice and overpowers him both times, but then doesn't get the finishing blow because someone else does. And it's just
Well,
like, why?
Captain Marvel is really inconsistent in this movie.
it's a Superman problem.
She's as strong as the writers want her to be, which is really fucking stupid when you actually think about the end of the movie and how, oh, don't let Thanos get the gauntlet. Don't. Captain Marvel gets her hands on the gauntlet. She could just fly up into the fucking stratosphere. She can just, get out of there.
I mean, I find it really weird how Doctor Strange warps everyone in and doesn't warp her in. And people have made the argument that, he didn't know about Captain Marvel because, no one knew about her. He just came back. But, he knew about Howard the Duck.
No, he knows about everything. This movie confirms that the Time Lords know about everything.
But here's his deal. Is that it's probably not super easy to open a portal from somebody that's flying at light speed through space.
I suppose,
because he doesn't just teleport you. He opens a portal, and if you it might take a little while. He might not be able to actually go into the vacuum of space. Is another thing. He probably got all the Ravagers from ships and stuff.
Besides,
all right.
He couldn't interfere. He couldn't interfere. It was destined. Fuck it.
There was no destiny in this movie. There was no destiny. That's not a thing that happens.
That is a thing that happens.
That is not a thing that happens. At all.
That's the whole thing of the movie.
He knew that he knew exactly. He set wheels into motion so that this one option would happen. But this wasn't a predestined option.
And then it was predestined.
Yeah, I suppose it's not destined. I don't know if it counts as it being destined if everything.
If you set it up.
If there were so many options to do it, he had to rely on everyone to go the way he was expecting them.
Yeah, when you talk about predestination, you're talking about there's only one way that this could happen. This will always happen.
Yeah,
there's
only one way that they can win.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it could have gone any other way.
Yeah, they could have lost.
They could have lost. Yeah.
They
just relied on specific. I mean, they wouldn't because it's a movie, but it wasn't like they were fated to. They weren't fated to win. I guess in the world's logic, they set everything up so that they could win.
Yeah, it's not Kyle Reese is always going to be. Oh man, I can't think. John Connor's father. That's always going to happen because that was predestined to happen. No matter what happens, whatever you try to change, that's going to happen because that did happen. This was. I've seen a lot of options, and I know that if I start things a certain way, things will happen. At that point, I guess it's predestination if you want to say it, but it's because you've set up all the dominoes in a certain way so that you know how they're going to fall. So I feel like that's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as what they did is they took out, because without the Infinity Gauntlet, there's several Avengers that probably could have taken Thanos out. But what they did is they took away Hulk's arm. They made Thor have a mental and physical breakdown, so he wasn't anywhere near his peak condition. They made Doctor Strange dusted, and then when he came back, they made him have to hold off an entire ocean of water so he couldn't actually do anything. And I feel like what they're doing, and it leads a little bit from Captain Marvel's movie, but Carol is very overconfident and tries to take on too much. Those are kind of her defining characteristics. She's like, no. And so they kind of lead into that. And then so they took her off world. And even when she went down there, she didn't. The thing is, she could have taken out Thanos fast, but she doesn't think she has to. Because she thinks that she has it. She's not used to being a team player.
Yeah, so she hasn't lost a fight yet, considering from when her powers activated.
Exactly.
When she showed up at the beginning of the movie, she was like, I can just take Thanos down on my own. And even though she does it as part of a team, he's so weak that she could have taken him down. And I do feel confident that at the end, she could have probably, if she had kept fighting Thanos, she could have probably taken him down on her own.
No,
It's
she would,
just the-
dude. If he had the gauntlet, she wouldn't have to, man.
I don't know. She's overpowering him, and the only reason she gets knocked away is because he grabs
Because he had the power stone. Yeah, but when
he
he had the
grabs the power stone and
he was
launches her, but-
way physically stronger than her. If he was holding the power stone and kept punching her, that's the whole point of the power stone. It makes
No, but
you.
yeah, but like he tries to hit he tries to hit her and it does nothing to her, and she's overpowering him, which no other character has done in
Right,
both
but I'm-
movies.
But I'm talking.
But she doesn't get taken out by the power stone. She gets knocked away by the power stone.
Right, but she got knocked down fast, and you didn't see her get up. What I'm saying is,
Yeah,
if
but there's no time to see it get up.
he had the reality stone, he had the time stone. He could have done whatever he wanted at that point. He had the full gauntlet.
Yeah, but
Like-
she was preventing him from doing it. The only reason he got to get away with it is because he grabbed the power stone out of the gauntlet and punched her with it.
Exactly, because once again, she's overconfident and doesn't think things. It's the same reason he beat the Hulk in the first movie, because he has a stone and because he's smarter. He's out punching the Hulk because the Hulk's just a savage monster, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna move around and push you around and do a kidney shot," because he is smarter than both of them, because he's been around. And by the way, Matt, the reason she didn't fly into space is because they needed to get the gauntlet back into the time van. That's why she had to go there. And if she didn't get it back in the time van, then all of these other alternate realities would have been destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Although that brings up another question.
There's no
there-
consequences for when they take the time
stone back.
The stones
Yeah, I mean
back.
that's that
because
was another.
they're
that's an issue.
returning
They
to
could
the
have
same
just-
point in time. They could have
Yeah.
just like done it later and just sent Captain Marvel away with the fucking stones.
Yeah, they
But
could
at
have
that
just
point,
had.
you have
Yeah,
Thanos
they could.
and his army chasing. That you create the same problem where it's Thanos and his army who are now more prepared because they know about Captain Marvel, going across the
I know.
universe trying to chase the stones.
I don't know. That brings up a good point though, because they could Doctor Strange could have easily created a portal. They lob the Infinity Stone, the Infinity Gauntlet through it, and then pick it up later on. Thanos can't go chase them up after that, and they're not going to let him just suddenly up and leave.
There's one way. One way. That's the laziest piece of writing in Infinity War. But yeah, there's one way. This is a way. It has to be this way. Also,
Yeah,
why couldn't they
it's-
have brought Tony back with the Infinity Gems? I get why they can't bring Black Widow back, because she was the sacrifice for the Soul Gem. But when
Mhm.
Tony died at the end, I'm like, you got a full Infinity Gauntlet, man.
I mean, can anyone else even use it? I suppose maybe Captain Marvel.
Well,
That's
by the
it.
way,
Hulk nearly died using it.
by the way, here's something that I've seen people discuss as a plot hole, and I'm like, it's really not. They're all like, wait, anyone can use it. You don't need an Infinity Gauntlet to use it. I've heard that, and I've also heard, how come Thanos didn't like destroy himself the first time he snapped? And I'm like, both of those are the same answer. He got a specially made dwarven magic gauntlet. That gauntlet absorbs the energy of all of the stones. Once you use it, there's still so much power that it destroyed the gauntlet. But if you have the actual Infinity Gauntlet, not the weird Stark Tech one, anyone could use the gauntlet and be fine. That was the whole point of it. But it has so much power that after the snap, it was done. And that's why when Thanos went to do the second snap and destroy the gems,
Yeah,
that's why he got fucked up. It's not because they're like, that's why he got messed up that time, but not the first time.
yeah.
Like,
He got
it's
messed up
just-
the second time because he was destroying the gems.
No, he messed up the second time because he didn't have the gauntlet. The gauntlet was destroyed, like the magical part of it.
Oh, was the gauntlet actually destroyed?
Yeah. At the end of
I didn't
Infinity
remember
War,
that.
you see that it was like, it's obviously still there, but it's like fried. So like obviously like the power is gone from it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
So-
once again, that's just like comic book logic.
So the weirdest part of the movie was when Dante walked in and he was just like, "I got the Soul Stone. Here you go, Thanos."
I was thinking Dante from Clerks for a minute, and I'm like, man, that would be a weird movie. Not even supposed to be here today.
But no, who the fuck else is in this movie?
Well, let's talk about real.
Let's talk about
real-
the Fortnite guys. Let's talk about the Fortnite guys.
No, I'm glad the guys in that movie, because I was worried he died at the beginning of Infinity War.
Korg and Meek
So,
are some of my
Korg and
favorite
Meek,
characters.
They would
So I'm
play
glad they
Fortnite. They would play Fortnite.
They would. They 100%
Korg,
would.
by the way, canonically in the comics, is a gay rock monster. So
Nice.
technically, he might be the first LGBT
character.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about real MVP, Ant-Man, because that was like, what? Like, the fact that Ant-Man and the Wasp is more of an important movie to watch ahead of this movie than Captain Marvel is really
I love
weird
Evangeline
to me.
Lilly.
But like, yeah, surprisingly enough, Ant-Man is like the one non-Avenger who does like a lot of really important stuff in this movie.
God, who would have fucking thought?
He's the catalyst. He's the turning point that brings them all, like, gives them a plan and helps them recover. I mean, it is a bit coincident lucky that a rat
It's not like
happens to
Doctor
step
Strange
on.
saw it.
Don't start. It's not Doctor Strange's rat. Don't start.
It's Master Splinter.
It's just, yeah, it's the fact that, yeah, a rat steps on that and that's how he gets out, is a bit, coincidence. But everything he actually knows and everything he learns and all this, and actually using the quantum realm for time travel is what changes everything. And Ant-Man goes back in time with them all. Even though he's not one of the original Avengers, he gets so much screen time in this movie, and I never really expected that going into this.
Yeah, people were going and expecting Captain Marvel to make a difference. No, it's fucking Ant-Man.
Yeah. Hey, I'm fine with that. I like Ant-Man.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to focus on the original 6 plus Nebula and War Machine for some reason.
Yeah.
I like
And
Nebula
Ant-Man.
in this movie actually, and I've never liked Karen Gillan as that character.
Okay.
But I thought she was good. Like I know there's some thoughts on why didn't she tell them this and whatever. But overall, like I felt like she had a lot of character development. I thought her scenes with Gamora and herself were pretty good. Like she was definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah, Nebula was. I mean, they kind of needed her to be a good a big character in this film because it's all about getting rid of Thanos finally, which has kind of been her driving motivation for so many movies.
It's also been Drax's driving motivation, but you never see it.
Yeah, it's slightly more important with Nebula, I suppose. I mean, Thanos did kill Drax's family, I guess.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's Drax. I don't care. It's Nebula's his daughter. It's slightly different.
So Fat Thor, I saw the movie twice, and the first time I saw the movie, I was like, the second time, like, I get it. Like, it's grown on me. I like that there's going to be a lot of fat dudes cosplaying as Thor now. That makes me happy. I like I like how they reference the Big Lebowski, and you're all like, "Hey, man, didn't Jeff Bridges fight Iron Man?" Anyways, what was I gonna say? The like, yeah, I get it. Like, because Thor is the character. He's 1,500 years old, and he's never really lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he's just been like on this huge losing streak, and it was okay. Like he has that conversation with Rocket at the end of the last movie, where he's all like, "That's fine." He's all like, where he says, "Well, he's never fought me twice." Where that, despite the fact that he lost half of his people, that he's lost his home, he's lost his best friends, he's lost his mom, he's lost his dad, he's lost his brother, his sister stabbed his eye out, he lost a weapon that was almost part of like all the stuff that he's lost. He said, "That's fine because I'm an agent of revenge. I'm gonna stop this. So that's why I'm here." And not only did he have the opportunity to do that, but he just didn't. And so he's just a wreck. He's just having just like this like I said, a mental and physical breakdown, and he just can't deal with what it is and what he's become, and kind of this survivor's guilt and everything. So he's just trying to put on a good face and deal with it by being like, "No, I'm fine. I'm eating my emotions, literally, and drinking them away." So like, I thought it was an interesting character. I thought it was played way too much for laughs. Like, yeah, you get some good jokes out of it, but then like they just kept going.
Yeah, I think I get him wanting to see his mum when they go back in time.
That was nice, yeah.
That part, that was nice. But it's like, I don't know. It feels like, yeah, okay, he's a bit down and he's a bit shit and a bit depressed and all this. But now actually being given a chance to fix things, I'd have thought he'd be more committed to sticking to the plan, I suppose.
I think it was because he failed and then failed again. Like the second failure just kind of made him lose all hope. And then he was just going along with the ride because they had free beer.
Yeah, which I mean makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. But I do find it funny how they obviously couldn't get what's her face back for this movie.
They did. They totally got Natalie Portman back to record some dialogue, like some voice lines.
Did she actually record voice lines?
Yes, and she was at the premiere and everything. Yeah, the actual scene was a cut scene from Thor: The Dark World because I looked it up.
Yeah,
but,
no,
like,
that's what I knew. I knew I knew the scene they used was a scene from that movie with Rocket Raccoon sort of CGI'd into it.
Yeah, but like the scene where she's walking by with the attendants and you hear them talking, like, but you don't really see her. They
Yeah.
had her record new dialogue for that, which I thought was funny.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Suppose it's an easy job to have.
I guess so. I think Ike Perlmutter, I feel like since Ike Perlmutter was kicked out of all things Marvel movies, a lot of people, like, I feel like the movies got better, and a lot of people are more willing to work with them again. Because yeah, like I've heard people say that if you want to hear a director be destroyed, like just like if you want to hear a human being that's lost all hope in life, like listen to the director's commentary on the first Avengers game with Joss Whedon, and then listen to the director's comedy in Age of Ultron, and see he's like, yeah, well, here's the Hulkbuster. Yeah, I guess the fans really wanted it, so figured we'd put it in.
Wow.
And you can see like
Jeez.
how the Marvel machine like, ruined the dude. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, I get it. Thor's kind of a weird one, especially because he was such a good character in Infinity War. I think was part of it too. You know?
Yeah. So, like, I know that Black Widow's getting her own movie, but I really feel like Hawkeye should be the one who gets his own movie.
Hawkeye's getting a TV show.
Okay, because I hope that TV show is just him in the 5 years hunting down people. Because like that is I would watch that more so than I would watch fucking a Black Widow movie.
That was so fucking
Hawkeye being a badass
weird.
for 5 years.
That was so fucking weird.
Yeah.
He just becomes this fucking samurai. He's got all the fucking otaku like katana like motions down. Like what the fuck?
He's had 5 years to. It is really bizarre change up. Like because they comment on it that he's going around the world, not just Japan, killing like villains basically.
I hope when he killed all the Mexican cartel guys, he was wearing a poncho and a sombrero. I hope he just gets really into
just into the culture. He just comes in with 2 guns and it's just like...
He waltzes in just like fucking Raiden from Metal Gear Rising.
Yes, exactly. I'm fine with it because we know he's a highly trained SHIELD agent, and we actually don't know anything about him except that he has a family and can shoot a bow and arrow. So sure, fine, he's a samurai, whatever.
He was a samurai. He trained to be a samurai.
Closet otaku. Wow.
I found out that the guy, because I just thought I'd do a little quick Google on it. The guy he killed in the movies, the samurai guy, is a character in the comics, a somewhat minor character, but he's like a robot samurai.
Fantastic.
Who's also part of the Yakuza. And they've just had him be... I guess he's now officially part of the MCU and is dead. So, rest in peace, him. But anyway, we've...
Dante from Clerks dressed as Devil May Cry 3 Dante in Avengers. Yeah, I agree. We went over that. That was good. That would have made this a better movie. I'm not going to lie. Would have easily reached 3 billion by now.
But I liked Hawkeye in this movie. I thought
it's interesting
well.
It's interesting you say the 5 years later because I think they're really prepping up for a Young Avengers movie. Because they already have Stature, who is Cassie Lang, Scott Lang's daughter. They aged her up to be the right age because in the comics she is one of the Young Avengers.
Okay.
And the rumor about Hawkeye is that the new show is him training Kate Bishop, who becomes the second Hawkeye.
Okay.
So who is also a young Avenger, and actually, if that took place in the 5 years, if the show takes place within those 5 years and is about him training her during those 5 years, then they could have her ready to be in a movie quicker.
Yeah.
Also, there's a kid from Iron Man 3, and that was weird. That was so weird at the funeral.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah, that kid that you're like, who is that guy?
Oh,
It's the kid from.
It's the kid from Iron Man 3. Because I sat there at the funeral, and it's going through all the groups, and then you just see that kid, and I was just like, who the fuck is that? Like it was just the whole time I was thinking to myself, like, is there something from Iron Man 2 that I've forgotten about that's this kid? But no, I guess he's the kid from Iron Man 3 now, 5 years older.
It's so weird. It's like, and it's really sad. You think about it, and you're all like, that these are the only friends Tony had because they brought the kid from Iron Man 3. It's nobody else. They could have brought the doctor lady from Age of Ultron. Bring her back. Whatever. They had a conversation. Maybe they were good friends. We don't know.
I'm trying to think. What's the actor's name of who's playing him? Because I feel like I recognized the actor, and that's why it was throwing me off. Because I was watching it, being like, I've seen this actor before, but I feel like I don't remember him at all in any Marvel movie. So, who is this? What's the kid's name? I'll look that up. Which is the next Avenger to talk about? I guess the Hulk. The Hulk had I don't quite get the Hulk's whole thing in this. He's just like Bruce Banner now, but big and green.
He's both Banner and the Hulk. It's another thing from the comics, the Professor Hulk, where and it's funny because he seems like the most stable of all of them now, and that he's found peace and all this. But really, it comes from a place of him feeling as a failure as both Banner and the Hulk. Mm-hmm. So he locked himself in a lab for years to try to really merge the two into one, and then he dabs. So that was something.
It would have been more interesting if we actually saw that happen.
It's already 3 hours, man. What do you want?
I would like less of that 3 hours spent dicking around and more actually developing the characters.
I don't know, man. I am unwilling to give away that taco scene where Hulk gives the tacos to Ant-Man.
I mean, that's fine. Just like actually show what happens in the 5 years that passed, and just like cut down on some of the time travel shit.
I don't know. The time travel shit gave closure to people.
Yeah,
I think thematically it was very important.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't feel like Endgame was the time to be closing off people's development, not starting new developments, I suppose. I guess Hulk's is kind of pushed through off screen, but then of the main Avengers, it was always about Tony, Steve, and Thor, and Black Widow, I guess. Like they're the ones who needed their story arc sort of closed off.
Is it just me, or was this the only movie where Black Widow actually seemed like a person too? They're like, let's give her some character development now that we're getting rid of her.
But Hawkeye got that in Age of Ultron. To be fair, he went from being such a non-character in the first Avengers to being actually like a character you rooted for in Age of Ultron.
One thing that Joss Whedon got wrong is he's like, we need a death in order to raise the stakes. But then he killed Quicksilver, who he had no attachment to. That was a really dumb move. I don't know, man. I like Quicksilver. And actually, like the MCU, I'm one of the very few people that likes the MCU Quicksilver better than the Fox X-Men Quicksilver, because it was actually closer to what his character is, which is less funny and more of just an asshole.
Okay.
Will you guys ever make episodes of Rate That Character again?
No.
I've got 3 scripts written. Just nobody in our video team wants to make a new intro, and I'm not going to do it. So who knows?
We'll see. But that's not the focus right now. The focus right now.
Talking about Avengers, the Fox Smash Brothers.
Yeah, and actually, it is exact same kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because it's been 5 years since. So it's only been 6 years since. I'm just trying to think if that works in their time, because Iron Man 3 wasn't 5 years ago Marvel time. It was longer than that, I feel like.
Good enough.
I suppose it doesn't really matter for a quick cameo. But
I'm assuming he got snapped too, because if not, he'd be like 25.
well, that's the thing that really bugged me with the snap, is that because they decided to keep the 5 years, which is fine. I actually like that they kept the 5 years. But for the Spider-Man, you have to have this belief that all of Spider-Man's friends all also got snapped, and not a single one of them didn't, and so that they can all be the same age and be in the same school year.
Or, and hear me out, Far From Home happens pre-Infinity War.
It
Or,
doesn't.
not,
It's confirmed to happen after Endgame.
does it? Because
it happens like straight after Endgame.
Okay.
It's confirmed.
Yeah, that's why they wanted to hold it back.
Yeah, but nope. That's why. Yeah, that's why it acts as like an epilogue right now to Endgame. But yeah, it's just the fact that all of Peter Parker's friends all got snapped, because otherwise they would, or some of them would be 5 years older.
How convenient! What is this? An episode of Game of Thrones?
Super convenient. Yeah.
I actually really like the character development that they give, and a lot of it's implied, but they give Rocket Raccoon, because Rocket, his family were the Guardians, whatever, right? But he's lived for 5 years basically with the Avengers, emailing Black Widow, like she says, I get emails from a raccoon. Like he's gotten pretty close to this group of people.
Yeah,
which is
that's
probably
true.
why he invites Thor to come with him.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case, and that's going to be also something weird, I guess, in Guardians 3. Rocket's got all this development because he's been alive for 5 years where no one else has. But Gamora is now reset entirely and has no development from that she'd had over the last 2 Guardians movies.
And raccoons normally just live 3 years, so he's like living on borrowed time, man. The average lifespan of a raccoon, 3 years.
Oh wow! Rocket died off screen. The end.
This is a new Rocket. Rocket 2.
Rocket 2.
Oh, in captivity, a raccoon can live up to 20 years.
Oh, okay. They're just really weak out in the wild, then.
Apparently, yeah.
Well, all right.
I mean, the movie says it himself. He's not even a raccoon. Some alien thing.
But
no, he is a raccoon. Yeah, he is a regular raccoon. He's just a genetically modified raccoon.
Well, then he can live forever. There we go.
He's just a genetically modified raccoon with a tree friend.
So do we all like how Marvel was setting up easy outs for their TV shows? They're all like, look, alternate universe Loki escaped with the space show. TV show!
I was wondering about that, because the TV show, obviously, when they announced Loki show, my thought was just that he'd come back to life. But then the second that he grabs that the Tesseract and disappears, I was like, okay, this is where the TV show is going to come into play. I get it now.
There's a lot of fan service in this movie, but I don't use it in a negative way.
There is that final fight.
Because when you're paying off 10 movies worth of things by having Cap lift Thor's hammer after he budged it 10 movies ago, that's earned fan service. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the fan service. I mean, there's we can talk about the final fight after we've gone through all the characters, but I actually really liked the final fight in
I thought it was amazing.
Avengers.
Loved it.
And the pre part to that final fight where it's Cap, Thor, and Iron Man all against Thanos. Like, I think that was a really well done fight. Better than anything from Game of Thrones.
At least I could see it. Yeah. I don't
know. What Avengers next? I guess we're down to the last 2, Captain America and Iron Man.
Yes.
So, do we want to talk about Iron Man first? Yeah, let's talk about Iron Man first, because we all have thoughts about Captain America's ending. Whereas I think Iron Man's is pretty,
the one major issue I had with this movie, because I really, really, really enjoyed this movie, was Tony being all like, "Oh, I accidentally discovered time travel. I was like a day."
Okay, Whoops. so the thing I don't like about the time travel thing is that in their present day, there's no stakes or urgency, and they just rush through with a really shitty plan. And they fuck it up.
Like they could have definitely made more Pym particles, I'm sure.
They could have gone back in time to get more first.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the thing, that because that's what they do when they're in
They
1970.
do.
And I was just
Yeah.
thinking, like, yeah, you could have done that at any point.
They finally realized to do that, and that just begs the question: why didn't this room with like 2 super geniuses in it? Why didn't they like come up with a better fucking plan before they left?
They were super excited. It's been 5 years.
Like, it's not like the fate of the universe is at stake. You know, they couldn't spend more time. It's not like they could die. It's not like they could, die.
They just realized how awkward it would be if people came back from being gone for 5 years and they didn't want to make it any more awkward. Like can you imagine like your husband or wife comes back and is already remarried with a new kid, but you literally were just gone for a couple seconds from your perspective?
Oh,
yeah.
God.
What about the people
quickly?
What about the people that were in planes? Do they just reappear in the air and then fall to their deaths?
Oh, no!
Oh shit!
Like,
I feel like it really wasn't thought out.
What if people who crash their cars, like, they reappear in the crashed cars, but there's like horrible like debris and like destruction in the car, and they just die?
It's like exactly like what if okay, so now Spider-Man is 16 years old, but his ID says he's 21. Can he buy a beer?
That is a good question, in fact. There's a lot of things, because they've come back and now they're back in their school, but surely that school has a new year and stuff, which means all these schools just got double the amount of students suddenly. Because 5 years ago they lost half of them.
like I said, it's gotta be awkward. Like Cap having the grief counseling with one of the Russo's brothers. It's talking about like this date he goes on. So yeah, he's finally gonna go on a date, and then like the dude's husband reappears. What do we do? Oh no! Like there's a lot of things that people have not thought about with just bringing back half the population.
But yeah, can we talk about time travel for a moment?
All right,
Sure.
let's talk about time travel.
Okay,
let's leave the cap. Let's leave the cap.
Yeah, I won't. That'll pay off later, just like the MCU. So the thing, the time travel laws that this movie sets up is that bringing stuff back won't affect your own timeline.
Yes.
So they could have just like theoretically gone back and gotten infinite Pym particles,
right,
and had infinite tries.
Right, they were just being stupid.
They were just being very stupid, very stupid. Good job, the Avengers.
Taking unnecessary risks.
But yeah. So, going back in time and doing things doesn't affect their current timeline. It just makes a new one.
Exactly.
So that's why they can't go back and kill baby Thanos.
Exactly.
And that creates a big fucking problem later, but we'll get to that. But generally, I get that the time travel is just an excuse to go back to all of these like major set pieces from the MCU and relive the glory days and whatever.
Yeah, it's Back to the Future too.
It's Back to the Future. No, actually, no, it's not Back to the Future. Back to the Future is dumb and stupid. That's what the movie told me.
It's Back to the Future 2. And it didn't say anything. It said the time travel rules for those movies don't make sense, is what it said. It didn't say those movies were bad. This had a very clear
I didn't say bad. I just said dumb and stupid.
This had a very clear like Zemeckis influence, if you ask me. Actually, a lot of it, but it was shot in the same style as Back to the Future 2, where you go back and then you see what happened in Back to the Future 1 in many scenes. Like that was
I get that
from that playbook. Yeah,
I get that. But yeah, so they go back in time. They interact with their past selves, stuff like that. Cap fights himself. And they use that time travel in a really like good way. Somebody just breathed like directly into the mic.
I think it was Spazzy.
Spazzy, you
Probably.
gotta move away. They use that time travel for like a really good payoff, because this is the movie where they kill Tony Stark. LOL, by the way, he dies. Everybody saw it coming. Everybody could feel it coming, and they give him like narrative closure by finally having him go back and meet his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a little heart to heart with his dad. Howard doesn't know why this man named Howard is so friendly with him, but he's just like, I guess he's a nice guy. And
I mean, to be
and
fair,
it's
that's
like a really
more logical
yeah
thought to have than my time traveling son.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, that's yeah. But yeah, it was a really emotional goodbye for Tony, and I think at that point, he was pretty much ready to die.
Yeah, like I mean,
like I think before Tony really made up his mind, he was still very hesitant about like sacrificing himself, because even then, during the final fight, when Tony realizes he has to make the ultimate sacrifice, he's still like super hesitant because he doesn't want to give up the life he has until Doctor Strange like signals him that this is the only way. But yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I feel like
Also, did they like keep past Gamora in the present time?
They kept past Gamora in the present time.
we're not sure.
Wouldn't that have
We
like
think so.
major
Well,
ramifications?
This is a thing for the story, because there is a timeline out there that doesn't
Thanos,
have
Nebula, and
Thanos in
Gamora.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's a timeline out there that doesn't have Thanos in it, doesn't have Gamora, and doesn't have Nebula.
Yeah, and Quill never gets the Infinity Stone either in that timeline, because they knock him out before he can do it. And even if they put it back, if you remember from Guardians 1, he has all of them people chasing him.
Yeah.
So they're more likely going to grab it now. So that entire timeline is just completely changed. The Thanos-less timeline. At least all of Guardians 1 has changed, and Infinity War can't happen because Thanos is gone. So
Yeah,
how
some
that
people-
affects everything like Rodin and all that, I don't know, and I don't care.
But
And I don't think
it's
I don't
funny-
think the MCU is ever going to cover it.
It's funny, Shadowlink, that you brought up that they had all this time, because another plot hole I see people bring up is all like, wait, how did like Thanos get his entire army back in through the time gate and all of that crap? Well, the thing is, we don't know how long him and Nebula actually stayed there with the one thing of Pym particles. They could have been spent years. They could have gone to Earth and stole all the Pym particles and gotten everything ready.
I think they actually said in an interview that they just made it themselves.
Yeah, they can. That's fine. They had time.
Their scientist guy and Thanos, just remade all the Nebula, all those particles themselves so that they could do it.
Yeah, they had an example of how you do it. So
yeah,
and they had all the time they needed because there was no reason for them to rush. He's like, let's get this entire giant army together and get ready.
That is true. That is very true. But I guess back onto Iron Man, I do like I went into this movie being like, all right, Iron Man's the one who's going to die. Because everyone was so sure it would be either Captain America or Iron Man, and I was sure it would be Iron Man because
I sent out a tweet before
the
the movie fucking started about how sure I was that Tony Stark would die. I said, like, if Tony Stark dies, I'm officially done with the MCU.
Like, I think it made sense for him to be the one to be killed off, considering Iron Man is the film that basically started all this, even if Hulk technically comes first.
And Robert Downey Jr. is the most expensive actor in the MCU.
Well, both him and Chris Evans weren't going to do it anymore after this movie. So both of them had to have a way out. But I went into this being like, Iron Man will die and they'll pull an old Steve Rogers somehow and he'll pass on the shield to Falcon. And that's exactly what happened to both of them.
The thing is too that they made easy outs if they ever want to use them again. Because in the comics, when Tony died, he uploaded his intelligence into an AI, so you have a Tony Stark AI for a future suit for Ironheart or whatever. So if he just and he can also appear as stupid ass holograms all the time, like he did before if he wants to. So if he wants to do stuff, they can use him, but he doesn't have to be there anymore. Like there's no narrative reason for him to be there. And there's two things you can do with Cap. You can always like Chris Evans seems to be done. He's like, I want to do other things with my life. I'm tired of working out all the time in Captain America. But if he wants to come back, there's all of the stories of the stuff that happened to him in the 1940s and 1950s and him returning the stones. There's like a whole bunch of stuff to mine there. And also there's just, oh my God, he got more super soldier serum. He's young again. Wow.
Suppose. But, what was it? I was thinking of for Iron Man specifically. I was wondering whether or not they would pull a replacement Iron Man sort of thing, like how we're talking about with the Young Avengers. Cool, but I'm not 100% sure. Originally, I thought about this, but then when I thought about the timeline, I don't think it works anymore. Because in Captain Marvel, there's the little black girl who's Carol's friend's daughter, who says that she wants to, when she grows up, she wants to like fly and become an engineer and stuff like that. And I was wondering whether or not that would be poured into it, because I know that they did have a female Iron Man in the comic books for a little bit, even if she wasn't that popular. And I'm wondering if they could be connected. The only thing that makes me not sure on that is then I realized that Captain Marvel's obviously set in like 1995. So she would be like in her 30s now, technically.
Wait, who are you talking about?
So in Captain Marvel, there's Captain Marvel's friend has a daughter.
That's Monica Rambeau. She is Pulsar. She's a different hero.
Okay, so she does become one. Okay.
Yeah, she was 11 in 1995, which means she would either be 35 or 40, depending on if
yeah.
She got snapped or not.
That was the problem I had for that. I was like, oh wait, shit. How do you spell that name? I want to look it up.
Look up Marvel Pulsar. Pulsar.
Pulsar. Okay, I think I spelled. Okay, but all right, fair enough. All right, well, good to know. But yeah, all right. Yeah, but Iron Man, I like that he met his dad. I like that he got the story wrapped up. He got a daughter. He got to pass on his legacy. He got at least 5 years of peace, I suppose, living in the country.
He got his happy ending. His whole thing has been since the beginning about overcoming his selfish nature and about protecting others and fearing that he can't protect others. That was the whole point of Ultron. That was, even his dad said it. I've never been one to be able to put the greater good, over my own personal interests. And it's about Tony trying to not be his father and trying to. Captain America literally says it in Avengers. He says, "You're never the guy to make the sacrifice play." He said that's why Cap doesn't like Tony. He's like, "You're never the guy that will lay down on the barbed wire and let somebody crawl over."
Yeah,
and then he did. Then Tony finally did. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of narrative payoff. It's just, it comes from previous movies, so it's weird. But there's so much that, like, comes full circle, and that's why I like it. But the thing is, like, as a standalone, it's not that great. But, like, when you really, like, go back and see where these characters come from, there's a lot of payoff to it.
Okay.
In my opinion, your mileage may vary, obviously.
So, what was I go? So is there anything else about Iron Man that we want to talk about, or do we want to move on to Captain America? I do like how Iron Man died in this. I was super worried when he has the "I am Iron Man." I was really worried he was going to make a joke or something and absolutely kill the tension of that scene.
Yeah,
so I'm glad he didn't.
It could have been, and I'm glad that it was Pepper there, and it wasn't just like him and Peter being all like, "I need you to carry on." I'm like, no, get the fuck out of there, dude. Let him have a moment with his wife, who was great, by the way. I'm glad I saw her in the armor. That made me happy.
I was glad I saw her in the armor. Yeah. I just forgot that it was Iron Man 3. She puts on the armor for her own armor for the first time.
No, it's this movie.
Is it this movie?
One. He designed stuff for her, but she didn't want it. She had weird powers.
They set it up at the beginning of this movie with the helmet.
Yeah, I know he said he made her one and stuff, but I thought I swear there was something in.
No,
Iron
she
Man
fought
3.
in the final battle of Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
just with her superpowers that she got for a minute because that movie was weird.
Oh, okay. Fair. Okay, because I remember that she fought in Iron Man 3, and I remember there were loads of suits in Iron Man 3, all in that final fight, so I couldn't remember.
What I'm going to say is, that kid was cute, and I don't know if that was a good child actor or if it was just that Robert Downey Jr. has a lot of charisma, so it carries over to him acting with a child. I think it might be the second one.
I think it's the second one because she was not good in the funeral scene.
Yeah, I agree.
She didn't show a bit of emotion.
Yeah, for her dead dad. Yeah,
She just wanted a cheeseburger.
Like if anybody there should have been bawling, it should have been the kid that just lost her dad.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, like I thought Iron Man had a good arc.
I thought Iron Man was good in this movie. The reason I said I'm done with the MCU also is because Iron Man was the only thing keeping me going at that point. It's like I liked Iron Man 1 like a lot. That's why I started watching these movies. And then I didn't like a lot of the movies. I fell asleep during the first Avengers. And then I saw Iron Man 3. I'm like, wow, I like these movies again. This is good. And then I saw a whole bunch of other movies I didn't like them. And then I saw Captain America Civil War and I'm like, wow, I like these movies now. This is good.
What'd you think of Black Panther?
I feel nothing about Black Panther. It's like a nothing movie. It's so fucking like vapid and like really it's not good, but it's not bad.
I like Ryan Coogler a lot, and
I love Black Panther's actor. The movie was bad, but also not. It was not bad. It was just not good. Oh god. It's like there were bits and pieces of the movie of Black Panther that were like good. I like the ending where Black Panther realizes the fucking hypocrisy of his ancestors, and then he takes his sister to the place where his uncle died and tells her the truth. That's like cool, good character development. But a lot of the movie was spent with a villain called Killmonger, and that's just like, okay, I can suspend my disbelief. I can suspend my disbelief for things like fucking the Hulk and Iron Man, because those names are a little silly. But I've never had as much whiplash from a modern movie taking itself completely seriously than I have when I found out that the villain was named Killmonger.
it was his nickname, man. Because he was in the armed forces and he liked to kill people. He was a real Killmonger. I actually, just on a little aside, I really liked Black Panther, but I felt like the ending was like this CGI fight on a train was really disappointing.
Oh god, the special effects in that movie were fucking terrible.
Were bad. Yeah, I don't feel like it was as great as a lot of people think it is, but I thought it was good.
It's an important movie. It's an important movie.
It is.
I'll give it that. Like it's one of the first major not bad black superhero movies
that didn't have vampires in it.
Yeah.
I also come on, man. The first Blade is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. You can't tell me Blade 1 isn't. What was I going to say? So, anyways, yeah, he was in this movie for a minute. He grabbed a gauntlet and then threw it to Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, that's basically all the people who came back for that final fight were just the minor heroes and major heroes who were dead for the most of the movie. I do like that. So that final fight scene where everyone shows up, I think is really cool, and I like how almost every major character got some kind of use in
Dude,
that fight.
they waited to see Avengers Assemble for over 10 years. They held on to that.
Yeah. I really like the final fight scene with one caveat. I felt like it was like a really genuine payoff and, pretty exciting. And then they get all of the female heroes together and it's just like, okay, this is the part where the audience claps. And then they did. And then
that might have just been your cinema, that one.
No, I got it. And
oh, really? I didn't.
here's my deal on that. I get that. I get what they're trying to do there. It's a cool visual shot. It's got good symbolism behind it. It does seem like a little bit pandering and a little bit.
It was super pandering. I can imagine the business room filled with fat middle-aged white men. Like
we killed Black Widow. We gotta give them something.
They're like twiddling their fingers like, how are we going to exploit the women?
Have the one group shot.
Well, it's funny, all the female fans that I've talked to say that was like a stand up and cheer moment for them, that you see all these strong empowered women. So maybe
it's like I'm glad that thing's out there, but it also feels completely ungenuine.
It's contrived.
Yeah,
it's super contrived.
Contrived.
It's done for a really cool shot, but at the same time, like, why is it only all the female heroes who are showing up here, like, specifically for that? There's no reason that Thor couldn't have just jumped in the middle there with them as well.
It's because Captain America was designing the battle plans, and he's a sex student in the 40s. So he said, all you women get over here.
Oh, no.
No.
That's how it happened.
But yeah, I mean, I agree that one. That I like that scene, but it is also the least genuine scene because it definitely feels like here are a lot of powerful women. We're just going to get them all in this one shot.
I thought Infinity War had a better scene that kind of related to that, where you had Okoye, Black Widow, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
Infinity War, it actually makes sense because like they're all running.
Sense, yeah.
They're running into battle together. Whereas Endgame is just like, okay, all these people are here now. Cool.
Yeah, that was.
They've all gathered in this one place, even though they didn't they had no reason to think that they would need to be there.
Yeah, I suppose the one that really stands out for that is the Wasp. Because she's in the car. She was in the car with Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And then I guess she just left the car to go take that one shot.
Oh shit, there's a female empowerment moment. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So she just left the van to fly over there to do that and then go back to the van again. It's just like, what?
I mean, I get
it. But other than that, which I mean, it's not a bad scene. It just feels like an ungenuine scene. Everything else in that fight is great. Like the initial fight between Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man is really, really good. Captain America getting the hammer and
my qualms with the movie are literally the 2 hours it spends dicking around before the movie starts. So yeah. Because it's like this thing, it's this huge fucking whiplash, because you come from Infinity War, which is like this super fast movie, it doesn't waste any time, and then Endgame comes around and it's just like, alright, let's spend 2 hours building up the final fight, and it's just like, wasn't that the fucking point of Infinity War? Wasn't that the point of the rest of the MCU? What the fuck?
I thought it was a lot of setup, because like I said, I think the movie was about saying goodbye, and they just wanted to let everybody say goodbye to these characters.
It would have been better if, like, the battle happened, and then they spent 2 hours sticking around with all the characters. I would have enjoyed that more. I bet most cinema audiences wouldn't, but I would have.
Just a giant shawarma scene?
Yeah.
That's why, going back to Game of Thrones, why I really like the first 2 episodes this season, and this last season, I'm like, or this last episode, I'm like, I don't know, giant battle. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, let's get to your problems with time traveling in Cap, because that's what I want.
Let's do Captain America because he's the only part we haven't talked about. And before all the time travel stuff, I liked what they were doing for Captain America. Like, he was going back to what he was doing prior to becoming a vigilante. He was trying to keep the peace together. He goes back in time and fights himself, and that's quite a funny scene.
America's ass.
I quite
Yeah.
liked when Captain America went back in time, saw his crush, and then was just like, "Can't do this. I've got a mission," and then he leaves. Like, and then the ending fucks that. Like
It doesn't, because for me, and I'll tell you why.
No,
We'll get to it in a minute.
I don't think the ending.
So okay,
fucks that.
all right. The ending absolutely does fuck that. Because it's heavily implied that Captain America stayed in the past.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and then he waited there to be cool.
He didn't. He created an alternate timeline. It's been confirmed by the directors.
God
Yeah.
damn it! Fuck
Yeah,
this movie.
That was all. I don't understand, because that was by the movie's logic, that was the obvious.
God, he
what
should have
happened.
just fucking
'Cause-
like come back on the platform with the god like old. That would have
Yeah,
made more sense.
that's-
Like what the
that's-
fuck?
That's the
Ah!
That's the one issue with the whole Captain America thing. If he had shown back up on the platform old, everything would have made sense. It's the fact that he doesn't show up on the platform and shows up a few meters away as
but
an
you know
old
what's-
man.
but
That's
you know what they say?
confusing.
Do you know what the Russo brothers said about that?
What
They
they
said-
said, they said it was
they
like
said-
a unknown story or something, didn't they?
Yeah, they're like, he's in a universe that has their own Howard Stark and Tony Stark and Hank Pym. That sounds like it's another person's story to tell, how he actually came back.
So he just met the alternate universe versions of them characters.
Well,
taught them
I'm
time travel, and then
I'm sure that they're geniuses, and I'm sure when Cap went back there, because he's not going to go and marry Peggy Carter, make a cuckold of the man that she was with previously, because he's Captain America and he can do that. But no, I like how people are like, "What about her old husband?" I'm like, "Who cares, man?" Guy, I'm sure met
what
somebody
about-
else. He's
But to be fair, when we don't know when he went back to, he could have very easily gone back to before she got married in the first place, and got married to him.
yeah, I know, but people are like that guy. But I severely doubt that. So that Captain America goes back in time, marries the founder of Shield, doesn't tell her that half of her soldiers are Hydra agents, lets his best friend Bucky be tortured for several decades in Russia. I'm sure that he went back and still did Captain America while in the 40s and 50s.
With another Captain America,
Yeah.
with himself frozen in the ground.
It's gonna be like that new Will Smith movie coming out where
Gemini
Man.
old Will Smith is acting along CGI young Will Smith. Except it's gonna be Chris Evans.
Chris Evans and old
You can look
Chris
up
Evans.
Russo interviews, King of
But
Trash. where-
oh
Yeah.
god, like
But-
I hate how this is a movie that has like holes in it, and then like they're like really big holes, and then it's just like, oh no, in an interview they said it's not a hole. It
It was already 3
I don't know.
hours. but
Yeah.
but
They
also
could
that
have
was
just
not-
fixed that by having him come back on the fucking stand. It didn't need to be explained in a supplemental interview. It just makes it seem like they're covering their goddamn asses.
I always assumed he had an alternate dimension, because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah,
My,
I mean,
my
it
personal
being
thought was that he
it
came
being
back 15 minutes earlier and was hiding in the bushes. Because
I've spent the last fucking day thinking about how the time travel doesn't make sense, and they could have just actually gone back and killed baby Thanos. God fucking damn it! I hate this movie.
See, I mean, I'm surprised at this, because apart from him not showing up on the platform, which is the part that doesn't make sense, him being in an alternate reality and all that was like pretty well established by the movie's own logic. It's only the fact that he doesn't show up on the platform for some strange reason that doesn't make any sense. But I don't think it's such a major thing that it couldn't be explained.
I'm going to bet that the vast majority of movie-going audiences that aren't comic book nerds thought, "Oh, he stayed in the past."
I mean,
he stayed in the past and waited there.
I don't read comic books, and I figured it out.
my initial thought was, oh, he went to an alternate dimension and then came back. But I am a comic book nerd. But my other reason that I knew that it had to be that is because he had the shield, and the shield was destroyed. And where would he have gotten the shield if he was just hanging out?
Yeah, because his Thanos destroyed his shield, and he got another one presumably from
from
The
from
alternate
his
universe.
from his frozen corpse. He brought it out.
Well, if he went back to the 40s, he could meet Howard Stark and just be like, "Can you make me another shield, please?"
Yeah, but then
And
he'd
they
be like,
just
"I'm
have
sorry,
two.
we don't have any vibranium. We don't know where it is." And Cap would be like, "I got you. I know where we can get some vibranium. Let's go hang out with T'Chaka."
But yeah, no, I didn't find. I mean, it is weird how he's not on the platform at the end, but it's the one thing that doesn't make any consistent sense.
How
And
the fuck did he get back in the first place?
maybe Bucky did it because other thing they confirmed in that interview is that Bucky knew exactly what Steve was going to do. Steve told him ahead of time that he was going to stay back there in the past. So Bucky knew about it, which is why which is why when Steve didn't show up, he didn't get confused or panic like Falcon did. He turned around. He's like, "Look over there." Yeah. The reason we don't see that Bucky knows is because they want it to be a surprise to the audience.
I just want to watch these movies and enjoy them on their own as movies. I don't want to read supplemental interviews or comic books or anything that's required for me to understand this shit.
I think you can, personally.
See, so the movie doesn't have plot holes; it just doesn't explain things.
Like, it has plot holes, but doesn't have major plot holes that I don't think things can be explained.
Okay.
When I sat there and I thought about it, I was like, this doesn't make sense in its time universe unless he did this.
I'm okay with ambiguity for thematic reasons or for poignant reasons, but when you're making a fucking time travel movie, you should be pretty clear about what rules are being followed and what's going on.
No, they did. They had the whole scene about how their time travel.
No, they set up the rules, and then they presented this thing that seemingly contradicts it.
Yeah, but if you think about it within its own rules, you can find the explanation that it's an alternate universe. It is
they just
him
wanted
not
that
showing
cool
up on
shot
the
of him
platform.
on the bench.
Yeah, they wanted the cool shot on the bench.
Have him walk over to the bench.
It should have been Bucky being like, "Hey, look over there," and then he
just have fucking Captain America come back in on the platform. He's really old. Oh, he can't walk on his own. Have an emotional scene where Bucky supports him, walks with him, takes him over to the bench, and then he's just like, "I have this shield for you," and then he dies.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing. So did he live a full life, wait for Peggy to die, and then be like, "Cool, right now I'm going back"?
Yeah, I think that's what's implied.
Is that what's implied?
I'm pretty sure that's what's implied now that I know the rules are still being followed.
Yeah.
Because I was under the impression that he just fucking waited there. He was there the whole time. If they just looked slightly to the right while they were setting up this time machine, they would have been like, "Who the fuck is that old man?"
I was here the whole time. But Doctor Strange said this was the only way. If I stayed here and didn't tell me anything, that we would be.
Oh god. So now I'm probably gonna like this movie just a teensy bit more watching it now that I know that it's a little less dumb than I thought. But still, oh my god. Please,
they just want to have a lot of pandering shots in there.
Please, if you write a movie, please explain the movie when there's time travel. Please explain.
Don't do a time travel movie.
Don't do a time travel movie.
Don't do it. The second it became a time travel movie, I got really worried. And then I was appreciated that they had that scene that explained everything, because then I could just critique the entire movie based around the rules they'd prepared, just in case anything fucked up like that. But yeah, I mean, I think the bigger time travel thing is that the reason they go and return all the stones is so that things so that, you know, the timeline doesn't change too dramatically. But then Captain America goes and does this, and they also kill Thanos from another world. So there are two timelines that are just completely changed.
Yeah,
entirely.
And it's like, I get the explanation for the fucking time stone being there to fight the forces of darkness or whatever, because that's a Doctor Strange thing. But it's like, we can get rid of one of these. I'm pretty sure nobody would really care about the Soul Stone being gone.
Yeah.
We could just prevent Thanos from ever happening on this one timeline because it's gone.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing that bugged me a little bit, because they talk about how the stones all have to be back because the stones, especially the Time Stone, are all super important to like the balance of the universe or whatever. But in the prime timeline, in the main timeline, their Infinity Stones are destroyed. Thanos destroyed all 5 of them.
Yeah, that's weird.
After going back, after the final battle, along with Captain America returning the Infinity Stones, they should have gone back in time and just killed baby Thanos in every timeline.
Just because, why not?
Just because, yeah. Hey, maybe that's what Captain America was doing the whole time.
Yeah.
He was just going on a baby killing.
Oh my
spree.
God! He also has to sneak up behind Natalie Portman and inject her with something.
Yeah. He has to find his way into Asgard. Like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like they couldn't send anybody back with Captain America because Captain America has to stay in an alternate timeline.
Yeah. It's just Captain America sneaking around Asgard and...
Hey man,
he has to break back into that base in the 1970s so he can put the Tesseract back.
Maybe he goes. Maybe he's hanging out with Black Widow the whole time. We don't know. Maybe he got her back. Maybe she's living in Peggy and Steve's garage or something, their guest house. We don't know.
So Captain America injects Natalie Portman, chucks the Soul Stone off of a fucking mountain because he doesn't know what else to do with it. Breaks into a military base so he can put it back and sneaks out again. Fucking goes back to another planet and just drops it in the fucking room. And where did this other stone even come from? It goes to the... Alright, fine. Gives the Time Stone back to the Psychic Lady. That's the easiest one.
Yeah.
That's the simplest change. It's just so silly.
Yeah, but I guess the differences between removing the Time Stone and destroying them is if you destroy them, I guess they're technically still here. Like you've reduced them to atoms, but they haven't been removed from the universe. I don't know.
Honestly,
that sounds like an explanation from a director interview post movie.
when I heard that line, I immediately thought, all right, so Ant-Man is going to shrink down, and then he's going to get the Infinity Stones back, and the movie's going to be over.
Ant-Man saves the day once again. But
that was,
yeah.
by the way, that was like one of the most emotional scenes for me. Was him and his daughter when he reunited.
Oh yeah, no, that's a really good scene when he goes there and he's trying to see if he realizes all these people died and he's looking for his daughter, and then he can't find her on the thing, and they meet up. Like that was a really good scene. Like I said, I like basically every scene with Ant-Man in this movie.
I also really like the Hail Hydra scene.
The Hail Hydra scene's another good one, yeah.
Because that was a very good subversion of what we expected to happen, because they managed to kind of organically set up that same scene from the elevator from the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And pay it off in a completely different way.
Yeah, no, I liked that scene. That was a good scene. And a better way to have Captain America say Hail Hydra than what he did in the comics.
That's true. Okay, so I do look forward to coming back and talking about John Wick 3, because I'm a big John Wick fan with Shadow Link, because I know that's one he's actually excited about.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say. I think we've covered everything in Endgame.
Yeah, I thought Endgame was really average, but the little issues really bothered me a lot.
I think Endgame was a good payoff to the 21 movie series.
I wish it was
stories of all the original main characters.
I wish it was faster pace. Avengers Endgame feels like the Avengers Age of Ultron to fucking Infinity War's Avengers 1.
Cause, I get what you mean. Yeah,
it spends so much time with the heroes dicking around. Like there were, I feel like we had enough of that already in the MCU that we could have skipped a lot of those scenes. And it's like, okay, the introductory scene with the Hulk being smart, that's cool, but why do we need the scene of Ant-Man sitting outside with a taco, and then Hulk comes by and gives him a taco? Why? Why?
Because Ant-Man dropped his taco and you felt bad for him. It was the greatest tragedy of this movie.
I guess my biggest problem with Avengers Endgame actually is that I didn't find it funny in the slightest. So when the movie's constantly trying to be funny, I'm just sitting there with a blank face, feeling really bad that I don't like this movie.
That's probably not a good sign if you didn't find, because a lot of the initial 2 hours are comedic scenes set up between having the pairs of people and back in time.
It's like, it's so weird because I like the comedy in the other MCU movies that I've said I liked. Like I love the comedy in Iron Man 1. Like there's some really good comedy, especially with how it like parallels certain shots, like how it sets up Tony, where it says Tony's a very responsible man, and then it just shows him drinking and like gambling. I like Iron Man 3's comedy. I like the little bits of comedy there were in Captain America Civil War. I like the comedy in Avengers Infinity War. Nothing in Endgame really landed for me. I mean, I laughed when they played Fortnite, but I don't think I was laughing with the movie. I was definitely not laughing with it.
There are definitely funny scenes. I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Like I said, I think also I come from, like I said, that comic book background where they used to give out no prizes. And what a no prize is when you used to write into the letters section of the comics. They used to have the like Stan's mailbox at the end, whatever. People would just like write letters to the writers. And people would explain plot holes, and they'd be like, "That's what happened. You get a no prize." So I'm like, "Yeah, we explain our own plot holes. We're comic book fans." So I think maybe I'm just used to that sort of thing. Some of the comedy landed pretty good for me. I still like the whole, I thought America's Ass was pretty funny. There's a couple other lines I couldn't think of. Where did
Discord
go?
crashed? Discord crashed. He says.
Yeah, my Discord crashed as well, but it just came back.
Very weird.
Yeah.
I'm next.
Discord's always crashing threes.
Yeah.
Damn
it. I can't really remember a lot of the specific comedy. Like I remember all of the movie because I saw it yesterday, but like I can't remember anything that actually like made me, I don't know, smile.
Like I had there were a lot of great moments. A lot of it came just in that last 45 minutes.
Oh no, I mean just like the comedy. I enjoyed the end of the movie. I just didn't like a lot of the 2 hours leading up to that end of the movie.
I mean, that's understandable. I feel like you probably could have cut Cap's like grief counseling group.
Yeah. That scene was totally just in there to pander, by the way.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I guess it informs you
it's like
what Cap's been doing and what that person is.
It informs you on what Cap's been doing, but also it's really ungenuine. Because it's just like articles were coming out, the first LGBT character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm just like, it's gonna be some throwaway character, isn't it? And then it's just like, yep, great grief counseling, good. And Spazzy's gone too. What is going on with Discord today? Hi everybody, I'm a Shadowlink. I hate everything, as confirmed by this episode today. I hate everything you enjoy, and you probably hate everything I enjoy. I really like The Quiet Man. Here, let me show you The Quiet Man. Here's The Quiet Man. The Quiet Man is a 2018 game. Dreamed and directed by Kensei Fujinaga. It is a wonderful game that everyone should play, or experience. I have a I have a YouTube playthrough of The Quiet Man. If you just like type in A Shadow Link YouTube, or go to my Twitter, there's a link to my YouTube. You can look at my playthrough of The Quiet Man 2018. There's a full playthrough on Twitch, by the way, but my playthrough on YouTube is edited down, cut out the downtime. It's really good. The Quiet Man's very good. Phantom, get the fuck out. I'm talking about The Quiet Man. It is a cinematic action game where you watch live action cutscenes interspersed with Yakuza-style gameplay. And by Yakuza-style gameplay, I mean it's a 3D beat-em-up, and it sucks. And that's the closest analog to it, so...
Have no fear, chat. I've come to stop A Shadow Link from talking about The Quiet Man.
Watch me.
I'm only gonna stay until they come back.
Yeah. Watch me play The Quiet Man. It's good.
Hello. Yo, I'm back.
Hello.
Can you hear
Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. I've had to
Oh shit. Oh shit.
rebooting stuff.
This is a wild episode.
Oh god.
I know, it's already all we need to do now is talk about Game of Thrones, and Spazzy's also now gone.
Oh god, oh man, he's back.
All right, I just got okay. Hey.
Oh
I'm back.
shit. Oh shit.
Oh shit, Spazzy's back. All right.
Go.
Game of Thrones.
That means I can leave now, right?
After
Yes.
this, go and watch my Quiet Man Let's Play. I'm gonna put a tweet out. I'm gonna retweet it on the Source Gaming Twitter. Check out my Quiet Man Let's Play. Here's
Yes,
Nero
good.
doing a little dance. He's very happy about the Quiet Man.
Okay, Spazzy, it's so that we can wrap things up because this has gone on now for like nearly 2.5 hours. Let's talk about Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I think we've got everything we need to say about Avengers. I'm gonna wait for my actual Discord to come back and then I'll get off my phone. But let's talk about how terrible the episode was.
It was
My
okay,
God.
First of all, you couldn't see anything. They built up this threat of the Night King throughout all of the season. It really makes Jon Snow's journey seem completely pointless. And the fact that Daenerys even went up there to help him. Like, it's ridiculous. There's so much talk about prophecy in this series. None of that matters. Arya killing the Night King was cool. That's and the dragon fight. The dragon fight was cool. Those are the only things that were cool.
See, like, I don't mind Arya killing the Night King. I think
Like
that's
that.
fine. I think it's unexpected. Yeah.
Sure.
But actually, like, I don't like the fact that Jon is actually useless in this entire episode. And like, we were arguing about this at the beginning of the week. Who was more important? Who did more, Daenerys or Jon? And they both fucked up big time. But I still feel like Daenerys had reasons for her fucking up. I cannot forgive Jon for sitting on the wall of the castle, watching his entire army get like decimated, and
That's
not
why
doing
Thanos
anything
snapped him.
about it, not doing anything about it, just in case the Night King snuck around him.
That's why Thanos
He has
snapped
a
him.
dragon that can breathe fire. He didn't have to move. The dragon could at least breathe fire on the fucking.
Wasn't the plan.
It doesn't matter what he stuck so religiously to the plan that he was willing to let literally everyone die. It's like, what sort of victory do you have? Yeah, I killed the Night King and I'm the only one left.
He's a sad boy. He's a sad boy. The Night King's plan was ridiculous too, because if that's what I'm talking about, how Game of Thrones has become a show based off of convenience more than anything else. Like in the actual books, and I'm not somebody that says the show has to be like the books, and I actually for some time like the show better than the books. But like in the show, what the reason I'm bringing this up is because in the books the Night King doesn't even exist in the books. There's no real leader of the Whites in the book. But in the show, they give you the Night King. They give you an origin for the Night King. They give you a background. They give him a personality. He's not just like this faceless thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
do all this, but then they make it so that if you kill him, you kill everybody. So like we all knew how this was going to end. We knew somebody. We may not have known it was Arya, but we knew somebody was going to kill him, and then the entire army would disappear, and that there was no real stakes because, like I said before, it kept showing like Sam should have died 3 times.
Yeah, Sam should
It
have
kept
died.
showing
Bran should have died. I think those are the 2 main ones. They both get swamped by White Walkers or whatever at one point, and it is just like, how did you just get back up? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and at the end they show that they do that shot, right, where you see all of the different survivors of the battle, and it's just like Tormund and Brienne and Grey Worm, and like everyone else is dead. I'm like, so conveniently, or like in the crypts where all of the people come out, they're like, oh look, all of the women and children that weren't women and children we knew died, but all of them that we did know are fine.
Yeah,
nobody died.
That one,
like
that really fucked me off, because what was the point in any of the crypt stuff? Like, they made a big fucking deal over the fact that, oh shit, the White Walkers, they brought the dead back to life, so the crypt is now full of zombies. But no one of importance dies. We see the one woman and child get killed, and then everyone's screaming and running around, and then they all die. All the zombies die. I mean, and everyone else just gets something like, well, okay, that was scary.
And that's like, sort of what the show used to not do, and I think why we why we're a little upset. And we're also rushing through this, but because hey, we're not actually a Game of Thrones recap show, and also because we got to get out, and because Shadow Link doesn't watch the show, so all of those reasons. But underlying theme of the show, right, was while everybody's doing like the fight for the throne, like the fight for the throne shouldn't have mattered. Because the whole point...
They're all distracted by trying to get the throne that nature is just basically on its way to kill them all.
The Night King's basically climate change. Is while we're dealing with our politics and our stupidity, whatever, there's something else coming that's going to kill us all. But then apparently we can resolve that by stabbing it with a knife. Like, you know what I'm saying? And on to more politics.
Let's
cool.
just...
On one hand, it's cool because like we get to like that's the more interesting part of the show has always been the interpersonal politics. But on the second hand, it seems kind of like a betrayal of what the show did, you know?
Yeah. It feels like the Night King at least should have survived in some way to get to King's Landing for that.
Yeah.
To be part of the overall final fight.
Because now there's just going to be elephants.
The Night King had to die in some way. I think it's just the fact that it came so anticlimactically. Although you were saying about the Night King's plan was flawed, I think he had the smartest decision of everyone in this. Because people were complaining that his whites basically did nothing, which is true, they didn't do anything. But that's also like kind of a brilliant strategy, because if one of the whites dies, they lose a chunk of their army. So of course the whites are all going to hang back and not actually participate in the battle, because if they do and one of them accidentally gets killed, that's a big loss. So of course they're not going to be around. They only come in when they're pretty sure that no one is going to be able to stop them.
I feel like they should have done more before they just came in there. Like there's no reason for him to be there at all. I guess he just really wanted to kill Bran himself.
Yeah, I mean, the Night King being there, him wanting to kill Bran himself is the one downfall, but they kind of already established that he wanted to do that. So I kind of believe it that he would do it, even if it is obviously the stupidest decision. He should have just stayed in the back with the dragons, or potentially fought, or just stayed fighting off Daenerys and Jon with his dragon, which I guess is what they do. They do the big dragon fight, but meh, it's still...
Yeah, and Jon actually does save Dany. She's about to go down and his dragon comes in. I don't know.
Yeah, but she saves him because he's about to get taken out by the Night King, and then her dragon comes in and attacks. And attacks the Night King. So they both do the same thing to help each other out.
Yeah, but I think it's funny that like all eyes are on these two, and then the person who actually does it is Arya. Like nobody even, they at the end of the day, neither of them really did that much themselves in the battle. They helped out with the dragons, but that was really the dragons. That wasn't even them. I think it would have been great if Jon had at least killed that dragon. That was very much a boss battle.
That's what I thought. Like I thought Jon's dragon had died, but they had killed the Night King's dragon, and then the Night King brought John's dragon back to life, and that was the dragon that got in the way. That's what I thought. That's what my family thought when I spoke to them about it. But the directors already confirmed that no,
the
John's
problem
dragon
was we couldn't
survived.
see what the hell was happening in that battle.
No, you couldn't.
Like we were
It was
talking
so
about Endgame.
it was so dark. I get it's being done at night and all of that, but it's just like until the fire starts happening towards the end. Yeah, you can't see a thing at all.
Yeah.
And it's just so much rapid movement. It just I filming a fight scene at night is fine, but you have to know what you're doing, and it didn't feel like he did. He felt like he was trying to film a regular fight scene, just putting it at night and hoping it would work out.
Yeah,
And
I
it
don't know,
didn't.
man. It was, I don't know. I hope it sticks its landing. I think we'll get out of here because we need to wrap this up, and where people are slowly leaving the watching now. So,
Yeah, that's fair. And the less people care about Game of Thrones. We just wanted to bitch about it because it was just not like I said. The more I've thought about this episode, the more I've realized I don't like it because it constantly did stuff that Game of Thrones wouldn't do, and it felt really unrealistic at points.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I have some theories going on. Maybe we can talk about it some other time on how this might happen. I just hope they stick the landing because that's one thing. I feel like Endgame stuck the landing, but Game of Thrones didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted with Arya because at the one point I don't want Arya to. Arya's done like every major thing basically in this series now. At this point, like she's killed almost every major villain, so she ends up being the one who kills Cersei. I'll be really pissed off. But at the same time, my theory since like season 2 of Game of Thrones is that the ones will end up on the throne are Arya and Gendry, and both of them are still alive. So that is now like leaning far more closer to that ending.
That would be a funny ending.
Let it be known that is my theory, and it's been my theory since season 2. So,
I think,
but
Jon will be Azor Ahai, and that Arya is Lightbringer, which makes sense if you really look into it, because she's a sword. Serial Pharrell says she's a sword. He goes, "You're not a girl, you're a sword. Girl, boy, you're a weapon."
That was the foreshadowing we needed the whole time.
And I'm sorry, Melisandre, but you don't actually know anything. She's all like, "I knew since the beginning it was Arya." I'm like, "Then why did you spend all this time around Stannis and then Jon Snow and then?"
Yeah, I know. I hate every time they swapped the wording of the prophecy around so that there would be more emphasis on the blue-eyed part this time. When that's not what happens in when she first says that prophecy. It was like the clear sign that they needed to find some justification for why it's going to be Arya. They feel like they needed some justification for why it should be Arya anyway.
Yeah.
But like, if you're gonna get rid of the original prophecy anyway, don't force a new prophecy on us. It's just it doesn't work like that.
Yep, a little much.
Oh well.
Say really.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. Shadowlink, you there?
Yeah, we could have talked about an hour about that too, I'm sure, but it's already been too long.
Oh, I've come up for air. Ah! I've been
Sorry,
drowning.
We just needed to complain a lot. It was a really great episode.
Needed to eat up all the oxygen while venting our rage. But yes, well,
yes.
All right.
Well, thank you two for joining me here. Thank you to all the viewers who watched and sat through my shit. I sent out the link for the YouTube playlist for The Quiet Man. It's on the Source Gaming Twitter now. Go watch it. And
then watch the Devil May Cry review, and then watch the Valhalla review, and then we'll be happy.
Watch the Devil May Cry review, watch the Valhalla review, watch the Quiet Man Let's Play. Thank you to all of our patrons, including super patron Duke of Dorks. Link to his channels in the description. We're gonna go now. It's been almost it's been over 2.5 hours. Oh god.
Some of us have Saturdays to go do someone.
Oh, yeah. Make sure to if you want to. Right now, we're gonna make some Turtles the Man Fox shirts. So just put in your orders now, guys.
I'll do it. I'll draw it. Let's do it.
Turtles the
Fuck
Man
it.
Fox shirt now.
Fuck it. We'll
And
do
Turtles the Man Fox coffee cups.
it. We'll do
Yes.
it.
The Source Gaming family's growing.
All right.
All right.
Thank you everyone for joining. Bye bye.
Bye.